краю нашого неволі, я полкового знамена, дивлюсь на нього я востаннє, у нез'ясованій журбі, всю кров мою всі скидання, воно не брало у собі.
Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались з кущі, щоб лаптем посьорбати довбані щі, та трохи у чах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Приперли зі сходу до нас барани для восстановлення
великої страни.
Найкращий пастух баранячий хотар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Їх доводи всяке озброєння різне, потужні ракети, машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, а ми зачаїли на орків образу з російських бандитів, робить примар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, там вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить, хто винен, що в нашому полі глухар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ, тепер нове слово знає цар.
Байрактар.
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 Yes.
The Lviv Street Army sends its regards.
О, бля! Игорь!
Hello, everyone. I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And good evening, folks. It's Enforcer Matt, and welcome back to day 353 of the news, and we have some big news today.
And of course, we're going to be covering the past 24 hours of the news of the war in Ukraine, and a quick update because everyone's been saying it in the 10-minute countdown. Yes, I'm fine. I still don't know what it was with last night, the whole blood mouth thing. Like, it just went away in the middle of last night's stream, but I'm totally fine today, just in case if any of y'all were wondering, because it seems like everyone asked that. So anyways, we're now going to be moving straight on into today's news, because we've been seeing some fairly interesting things and hearing some fairly interesting statements from all around Ukraine and Russia as well. We've been hearing that offensives will most likely begin here soon on both sides, and not only that, it appears that our boy Prigozhin, or otherwise known as the head chef of Putin's little cook team, making sure to cook up Russians well done, appears to have some very optimistic timetables for when he thinks they'll finally make it out of Donetsk. So let's see what he's saying. I'm sure it's going to be great news. What? 1.5 to 2 years to take the Donbass. 3 years to reach the Dnieper. What? Alright, so real quick, let's go over what that means. So he's saying that to take this area right here, you can see the finely dotted line here on the map, to take everything that's to the east, or over here, on this dotted area, it's going to take them 1.5 to 2 years to do it, and then it's going to take them an entire other year to reach the Dnipro River in the Zaporizhia or Dnipro direction. So it appears that our boy Prigozhin has somehow been smacked with the truth and reality of the situation, that the amount of ground they're going to be taking over several years' time will be smaller than the amount of ground the Germans were able to take in eastern France in the First World War. So I think...
Does he think that's good or something?
I don't know, but let's listen to him say it, and let's try and get his tone on this to see if it does sound like good news to him or bad news.
Если нам надо идти до Днепра, то тогда года на 3. Если нам надо закрыть ДНР, ЛНР, ну, надо еще хотя бы годика 1,5-2 поработать. Если нам нужно дойти до Ла-Манша, то тогда у меня есть свой идеальный план. Мы должны по-человечески, как с 41 по 45, закрыть все на ключ. Никаких Турций, никаких Франций, никакого расслабона. Все одеваем нормальные рабочие костюмы и идем вкалывать, как папа Карло. Вот когда мы повкалываем по-нормальному, да, тогда мы можем задать вопрос, где наш Ла-Манш, и 100%, мне кажется, никто не будет против, нам надо будет Францию, Италию, Болгарию, там еще что-нибудь украинцам отдать. С ними надо честно поделиться. Потому что они с нами здесь вместе настрадаются еще, мама, не горюй.
What the hell is he talking about at the end of this thing? I was just sitting there listening to it. I was like, who the hell is Papa Carlo? Like, where did he come in? I've never even heard that.
That's his imaginary friend, probably.
Yeah. so everyone's saying, who's Papa Carlo? Like, I'm wondering that too. Who the hell's Papa Carlo? And also, it looks like Prigozhin has tried to have some kind of cosmetic surgery done to his head to make him look very similar to the ancient LSA philosopher Bophades Testicles, because the top of his head is not looking that grand. I'll tell you that. On top of that, He's sitting there and saying it's going to take them 3 years to move east to west from here to Dnipro. 3 years to move over that amount of ground. Let's whip out a ruler and let's measure. To cover another 134 miles of ground from east to west, and also to cover about 60 miles from south to north. To take that area, he's saying that it'll take them 3 years. 3 years. And then after he says that, he says, I have my own genius plan, and keep how big that is. Just draw a line from Kramatorsk over to Dnipro, and then from Dnipro down to where the front line is right now. He says to take that area, it's going to take most likely 3 years, but I have this grand plan to take all of Europe to the English Channel. And he's saying that it's going to take them 3 years, and he looks so, like, decrepit, he may not even be alive in 3 years, to just take this small portion of Ukraine. It doesn't even pale in comparison to the amount of occupied territory they have right now. And then he's going to sit there and say, I have this grand plan to conquer every other nation in Europe, and it will go easily. What a joke. What a joke. This guy is living in a delusional lie so badly at this point. The statement doesn't even make any sense. And that's what we're dealing with in Russia. And not only that, he's not the only guy who's living in a fantasy land like this. Putin was examining and sniffing pine cones today in Arkhangelsk. Like, I don't even know what the hell this is, but check this out.
Закупаем шишку, эту шишку сюда высыпаем, сортируем ее, отделяем здесь.
What the hell does this have to do with anything? I'm not even getting it.
Oh my! What, they got a whole processing plant for pine cones?
Yeah, they
what the
got
hell
a
is this
whole
for?
factory for pine cones. What is the point?
This is all they have left.
Yeah, this is all they have left. And look at Putin looking it over. He's like,
Закупаем шишку.
look at him. He's like, this will manufacture great tanks here in the future. Look at how he sifts through them like it's some kind of precious gold or something. He's got to be serious about it. Like, this is a joke. There's a war going on. 750 Russian soldiers were killed today, and he's sifting through pine cones in a pine cone factory?
The
What is
Russians are so exhausted, they think pine cones are like treasure now. It's like, oh my goodness, are they going to eat these or something? Like, what are they used for?
Look at him. He's looking it over like this is a serious thing.
Высыпаем, сортируем ее.
Like he's looking at them like, this one's rape. Like, what the hell? They're pine cones. They're pine. Yeah. How in the world can we take a country seriously when they're acting like pine cones are a serious industry at this point? I can't take them seriously anymore. This is just a joke.
Not only are the Russian people going to starve, now the squirrels are out of food too.
Yeah, man, some squirrel just came out of their house today after getting drunk on like pine cone vodka, and just sitting there going, "Oh, bled, where did all the pine cones go? The government confiscated them." Oh, bled. Oh my lord! And I know, Rumpelstiltskin. Many parts of the pine cone are edible. We have eaten pine cone seeds before, but are like. There's so many other things that could be seriously addressed right now, like the shortage of grain or the fact that the Russian army is getting slaughtered right now. Those are two things I feel ought to be taking precedent over the tour of the Pinecone factory, but apparently this has taken front and center stage in the entire war. The pine cones are taking precedent over everything else now. So with that, good luck on their Pine Sol operation? I mean, I guess they're making Pine Sol out of the pine cones? I don't know. But still, best of luck to it. I still can't get over how he sifts through these pine cones like he's looking for a ripe mango.
Высыпаем, сортируем ее, отделяем здесь.
This is just stupid. We can't hang out on this any longer because I feel like I'm going to lose it. But that's the end of this clip.
It's the typical dictator is the like jack of all trades routine, and they know nothing.
Yeah, he's gonna sit there and look at this one. Why are you feeding the people this pine cone? What do you mean? It's got bad nuts. It's got bad nuts. Like you, Mr. What did you say? No, nothing. We'll make sure to get rid of that one, please. And then they'll go on a mission like they did in China to kill all of the sparrows. And then when all the sparrows die, the locusts take over and eat everything and cause a famine. But anyways. We're going to be moving on from this little bit of news, the insanity of it, and we're now going to be moving on into Poland. Of course, we're covering the international news first tonight, and we're leaving the largest bit of news for last because it appeared initially in the early hours of the morning that a Russian cruise missile was actually flying into NATO airspace, but we'll get to that in a minute, so stick around for that. But moving on into Poland, we saw that Zelensky has now rounded out his international tour around Europe, making sure that European countries know that the Ukrainians are still fighting the war, by meeting, once again, the Polish president. The Polish president and Volodymyr Zelensky have probably met more times than any other head of state or I guess you could say leader of a nation has with Ukraine. This is about, like, I think the 24th meeting they've had, and it shows that Ukraine and Poland are fairly good friends. Also, both of the countries coming out of the former Soviet Union or the Eastern Bloc very well understand the implications behind living in a Russian-led world that dominates the Eastern European area. And so we're now going to be moving on from that bit of news and on south into Romania. As many of y'all may know, missiles started to fly into Ukraine from every direction again today, as 71 Russian cruise missiles were fired and more Shaheds were launched from their bases and made their way on into Ukraine to try and strike targets. From what we were able to hear, 61 of the 71 cruise missiles were shot down, and I believe that almost all the Shaheds were shot down, save, I believe, one. One of them did make it through, maybe two, but we'll have to go and make sure to get a confirmation on that number. But one thing was incredibly concerning today, as one of the cruise missiles fired was fired from the Black Sea, and practically nearly crossed into Romanian airspace. It ended up just skirting past the Romanian border and their airspace, through Ukraine on into Moldova, and made its way up into the area of the Rivne, Kilmanisti, and Ternopil area. We don't know where that missile went specifically, but it did also fly over Moldova completely. Over the entirety of Moldova from north to south. The Romanians tracked this missile as soon as it went airborne, and were able to confirm, and we've got the link right here showing that while the missile did fly entirely over Moldova, it did not enter or cross the airspace of Romania at any given point. However, this is one of the most concerning instances we've seen with a cruise or a ballistic missile fired from the Russians, as this is the closest it has ever gotten in the beginning of its path of flying into NATO territory. Of course, some of them have gotten very close to the Polish-Ukrainian border, hitting a training base in this area many months ago, but we've never seen one launch and then nearly fly into NATO airspace on a way to its target. We may even see the Russians try and push this further again and start launching a large amount of the cruise missiles from the Black Sea, where they're nearly crossing into Romanian airspace. If that does happen, there will be some serious concerns brought up by Romania, who is a NATO member, as to whether this is invoking Article 4 or Article 5, although we're not really sure that either one would be invoked in the end. If the missile does not land on Romanian land, attacking any of their ground forces or anything similar, it may just go with some strong diplomatic language, and it also may mean that the U.S. Air Force or other NATO air forces, along with the Romanian Air Force, attempt to intercept any cruise or ballistic missiles fired by the Russians over Romanian airspace and shoot them down while they're there, but we can't really tell about that for certain. Speaking of which, just to make a short note about this, because I have seen some people mentioning this in the live chat, we did hear today that there was some kind of an unidentified aerial vehicle that was shot down in the area of Alaska by the U.S. Air Force today. The order was given by the President of the United States, seeing this vehicle flying into American airspace to shoot it down. Aircraft were mobilized. The aircraft made visual contact with the UAV. We do not know what the UAV specifically was. We were told it was about the size of a small car, flying at the same altitude that a commercial airliner would fly at, which may indicate that it was a drone. It was then promptly shot down, and no additional information has been given on that matter, so we were not able to include it as a news source tonight, because we're lacking a large amount of information on it. However, we are going to bring it up just because it is something that's happened, and we are keeping apprised of the situation, and trying to figure out the best way to report on it once we get as much news available as possible. So we're now going to be moving on from the Fiat 500 that was shot down over Alaska, apparently, and back into Ukraine and out of the international news as a whole, and on into the area of Ivano from Kyiv, where we saw a Russian missile get shot down today in the fields outside of the city. We can see the missile flying over. Keeps on going. We hear something launched. Oh,
They got it.
They got it. Oh, what a shot.
Wow.
Man, what a shot. I didn't expect it to be like that. I thought it would be like that one missile that just blew up midair. I didn't know you could actually launch the missile, fly in, and hit that one. So very impressive, and also great to know that the Ukrainians were able to save citizens from being on the receiving end of that missile right there. We're now going to be moving on from that clip and on into our next bit of news inside of Kyiv, where we can see that once again, the normal ritual of reaching the metro stations and hiding inside of them has begun once again with this brand new missile attack that occurred over the last day. We can see pictures of everyone, much like we saw at the very beginning of the year last year on February 24th, crowding the subway stations and making sure to hide from the possible missile barrages and bombardments occurring overhead. So we can see that the escalators are filled. Well, I believe those may just be normal stairways. No, those are escalators. This is a stairway. You can see people hanging out on them. In the next picture, we can see another stairway filled with people. And it seems as though a lot of people do not look as disturbed by the fact they're having to be in a metro station as they were around the same time last year. It seems like everyone's really gotten used to this routine because we can see people laughing and joking with each other, hanging out, being on their phones, playing with their kids. So it looks like a lot of people have gotten fairly accustomed to this, and it's quite bizarre to think that people have gotten accustomed to hiding in a metro station so that way they don't get hit by a missile and killed, because it's just become such a common occurrence. But that's what they've done. Also,
it's kind of a good thing, and at the same time, it's kind of sad though too that they've gotten used to such bad conditions.
and not really that bad of conditions. I mean, the metro stations are quite nice.
Well, I
but
mean, like out of like fear, like not. I know the metro stations are very nice, but they're probably just fearful of being hit by a bomb. You know.
yeah, that's true. They're probably scared to death of being hit by missiles, especially with all of the missiles that were making it through the airspace last year into their targets. Many buildings on the outskirts of Kyiv and within the center of Kyiv itself were getting hit. People were getting killed. It was a terrifying time. And now that the Ukrainian air defenses have become a lot more competent and been a lot better equipped and just increased in size overall, they've been able to shoot down a large majority of all of the missiles that were able to make it through. And we can see here people just hanging out at the station platforms. We can actually see one of the old Soviet metro trains coming in and picking up passengers because they're still running schedules. We can see them sitting on the staircases again. I've got to tell you, Matthew, it's really wild to see that Kyiv's metro stations have so much like drip. I don't know how to explain it. They're very nice looking.
They really are. Like, weren't they designed kind of like to serve as like a secondary function as a shelter from these missiles?
Yeah, they were built to be a bomb shelter in a way, and like Pyongyang subways that were also made around the same time as Kyiv's, they were also made to, I guess you could say, exemplify the Soviet Union and how great everything is, you know, to foreign visitors, because usually they would end up on the metro, and this stuff was made to impress. Also, crazily enough, Kyiv's metro stations are the deepest in the world for an operational metro. The only one that gets close to it is North Korea's metro stations, Pyongyang, but these are the deepest metro stations in the world. You pretty much have to take an escalator down nearly 12 stories underground to hop on one of these metros. So quite wild when you think about it like that. And then the final picture of another metro station filled with more people that are waiting out the missile attack from above. Luckily, they were able to return to their homes later on today, as all of the missiles either made it to their target or the large majority of them were shot down. We're now going to be moving on from that little bit of news in Kyiv and on into the center of Ukraine somewhere. We don't really know the exact location of this marker. It was somewhere east of the Dnieper River, and we saw once again, Dude Perfect out there shooting down missiles with a manpad. So here's the clip. You see the missile on its way, tracking the cruise missile, hitting it.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, we can see the missile right there. And a solid
Jaga,
hit.
jaga.
Jaga, jaga. A very nice hit, once again. And it seems like, you know, what was crazy is that a while ago, we saw the first ever cruise missile get shot down by a manpad. Now it seems as though every Ukrainian unit on the line, when they hear missiles are coming overhead, they're like, dude, watch this. And then they start shooting manpads at them as they fly over. It's a very effective way to shoot them down from what we can tell. The video footage of it has become more and more common as the war keeps going. And so it's absolutely great to know that they were able to shoot down another one of these and wasn't able to make it to its target. We actually talk to Ukrainian soldiers behind the scenes occasionally, not just Operator Starsky, but others. And I actually got some footage today from one of them that got this footage from a friend of one of the cruise missiles hitting its target on the Dnipro River. It was actually within the city of Dnipro itself. And from what I could tell, it hit somewhere around this area. So I don't know exactly what it was hitting. It did manage to hit its target from what we could tell. So that was quite unfortunate. One of the few that made it through. But unfortunately, I couldn't upload that footage here because it's on WhatsApp. So with that, we're now going to be moving on into our location unknowns, now covering the missile attacks and the international news around the world. And we're going to be moving on into the Ukrainians preparing an attack here soon, but that's actually a part of our Frontline news, which is I have to say, very interesting today because we're seeing a decent amount of action in some very small spaces like Kreminna, Bakhmut, and Volodar. And Kreminna has picked up, at least today in video footage, a lot more than it was last week. So this may be indicating that something's going on here. So we're now moving on into our location unknowns, and we only have 4 of them today, not that many at all. And starting off with our first clip, we saw some Ukrainian soldiers get those little VOG, like droppers that are on the bottom of their drones. So here's the clip. They're fairly interesting and neat to see. Also, nice M4.
Слава Україні! Хочемо подякувати нашим волонтерам за надання нам системи скидів на Mavic DJI 3. Дякуємо вам. Ми з вашою допомогою будемо ще сильніше і неспинно нищити нашого ворога. Слава Україні!
So with that, that's the end of the clip. But fairly interesting to see that they got some of those little cradles that they put on the bottom of their drones, and hopefully they'll be slamming those things down wherever they can, wherever they need, and getting a couple of Russians along the way as they stand in front of their Cossack armored car. Pretty cool. I like the naming there because, you know, they're Cossacks, so they call the armored car a Cossack. That's actually pretty cool. And also I like that stamped in the front of the grill. It looks nice. So with that, we're now moving on from that little bit of location unknown news and on into our next clip where we saw last night's catch. And so here's a spreadsheet showing us how it all went down. So they shot down 5 Shaheds, and they also shot down 61 let's see, I believe they're Caliber and Iskander missiles. It appears that they're just listing all of them off as a Caliber on this spreadsheet, but that is everything that they were able to shoot down last night. It appears that, wait, hang on. 5 Shahed, 131, 136. Okay, that's the designation. Sorry, I thought they meant that 136 Shaheds had been launched. I was going to be like, hold up. But it looks like we didn't get a number for how many Shaheds had initially been launched into Ukraine and how many of those were shot down. We know that 5 of them were shot down. We don't know if that was all of the Shaheds that were used or whether that was just a majority or a small portion of them. But we do have the exact number on the cruise missiles again. 61 out of 71 of them were shot down, meaning that only 10 of them made it through. And the interception rate right there, and let's do the math on that, 61 divided by 71, is an 86% success rate in shooting down missiles violating the airspace. So a fairly good figure. 86% is nothing to scoff at all and would be considered exceptional by most militaries around the world that are not using the most advanced air defense systems. We do know that eventually the Ukrainians will get Patriot air defense systems. They're not in Ukraine right now. Those crews are currently training somewhere around Tulsa, Oklahoma on the system. So they'll eventually be sent back to Ukraine and will be able to use those Patriots there. They'll also be accompanied by some NASAMs. We know that there are some operational IRIS-Ts in Ukraine, but those are much shorter range missiles, and we do not know if they are able to use those against Calibers or whether they're trying to plan on using those as frontline anti-air support for the troops on the ground in the areas of Donetsk, where the Russians are still using a small amount of aircraft. So with that, we're now going to be moving on from this little interesting clip, and we're now moving on into our next one, where we saw the Russian losses for February 10th.
Oh man, no more Bobcats again?
No skid
steers. What the hell's going on?
I don't know what's going on. I got to tell you, it's a ripoff. I want a refund. But moving on from that, we saw that 730 Russian troops were killed today. Quite a high number, not as high as the past 6 days. The past 6 days have been at least over 900 every single day. So 730 is great, but it's not as great as the past 6 days. We saw that 3 armored personnel carriers and 3 tanks were knocked out today only. Still quite high numbers and quite nice to see. 5 supply trucks were destroyed. 7 artillery systems were destroyed. That's an unusually high number. 3 drones were also shot down. An anti-aircraft system was destroyed, and a helicopter was also shot down as well. So it appears that, once again, the Russian infantry, or just Russian personnel in general, are taking a very high, very large amount of losses, and while this appears to be low relative to the past week, this is incredibly high compared to most of the war. And of course, if you look at any graph, it'll show you that. 3 armored personnel carriers and 3 tanks are average for what we've been seeing over the past 3 months. The numbers that we've been getting once again over the past 6 days have been unusually high. So it appears that the Russians may have pulled back some of their armor today and they didn't suffer as many losses, or at least over the last 24-hour period where these numbers were being accounted for. It also seems that the Russian artillery has just had a bad day today. It looks like they were targeted and wiped out fairly easily by Ukrainian counterfire, and they were able to claim 7 of the systems. 3 drones being shot down, of course, that just changes from day to day. An anti-aircraft system being destroyed, that's quite nice. We don't know where it was destroyed, but 1 is a pretty average number. In fact, usually we never see 1 getting destroyed. It seems almost every other day no anti-aircraft vehicles are getting destroyed. And another helicopter destroyed, which is very rare, and we don't know what kind it is. We don't know if it's an Mi-17, an Mi-8. We don't know if it is a Ka-50, well, not Ka-50, Ka-52, Mi-28. We don't really know. We just know that another helicopter was shot down today, and once again, it has to cost at least monetarily more than $800,000 and less than about $5 to $6 million. So with that, I hope we addressed the casualty report fairly well. Once again, great to see that the losses are being inflicted heavily. And I already know, because I see this comment every once in a while, what about the Ukrainian losses? We don't get those numbers. We can't even extrapolate or guess at those numbers. I'm assuming that at this point, they've probably taken 20 to 30,000 dead at least. And that number is probably climbing about 100 or so. Maybe 200 or so every single day. Not that bad, especially compared to the British standard in the Second World War, where the British were losing nearly 450 soldiers per day on average. The Ukrainian losses, I would assume, are lower than that by about 100 to 150. But once again, I'm trying to take a guess at that. We've never gotten any actual figures to back that up or make that claim valid, so that is a shot in the dark like any other guess would be. So we're now going to be moving on from the loss report and on into our last bit of news, where we saw a reporter get held hostage. And I thought this was hilarious because before the stream, Matthew was talking about, oh, you know, it would be dangerous to be a reporter over there because anything could happen to you. And it looks like, Matthew, something bad happened to this guy, and I've got to show it. He got held hostage by a Ukrainian babushka, and she forced him to eat. So here's the clip.
No way.
People here is amazing. They are not letting me leave until I have some of their borscht. They're insisting. I don't want to take any of their food. They don't have very much, but they are insisting. It's so wonderful, so kind, so generous. Thank you.
She pointed to the chair like, sit your ass down.
He seems grateful and intimidated at the same time.
This is borscht. Your borscht. Beautiful. You know what? In all the years that I've been doing journalism, I've always found the people who are the most generous are generally the people who have the least to give.
Ludmila is a retired
nurse. So one thing that I don't think he knows is that it's normal. It's a normal cultural custom in Ukraine that if you visit someone's house, you have to eat, because, you know, that's due to famines and food insecurity throughout most of history. If there's food available in someone's house, you feed the person who's visiting, so that way if they leave, they don't starve to death because there may not be any food elsewhere. So that's where the custom comes from, and it's just held over even into the modern day when the Ukrainians have a bountiful amount of food. But that is the tradition of where this comes from. It's not anything that, like here in America, I would say this, here in America, just giving food to anyone and everyone that comes to your house would be kind of odd because, you know, we don't have that kind of culture here. Food has always been abundant in the United States. We've never been lacking on food. But in a country like Ukraine, this is an expected cultural custom, and it would be incredibly rude to turn someone down and just walk out of their house. So we're going to continue the clip.
To care for her 88-year-old father, who's blind and diabetic. Sometimes in life, you have no choice, she says. Now please, eat your borscht.
Thank you. It was delicious. I finished.
Yeah, it's like if you didn't finish, you'd slaughter. Probably would. But still, that's the end of the clip. And it's really nice to see the generosity of these Ukrainians. It's, you know, and while I say it's a cultural custom, that isn't trying to negate the fact how kind this is. Because given the extraordinary situation right now, and that this footage was made in Chasiv Yar, which is just about 3 miles away from the front line right now, those cultural customs could just disappear and people could try and hoard food for themselves, not give out to any others. Remember, just 2 years ago, people were nearly killing each other in the grocery stores here in the United States for toilet paper rolls. And you didn't really see any passing around and sharing here, but even just 3 miles away from an active front line, maybe even getting shelled themselves, they're still going to give this random stranger all the way from the United States a bowl of soup. So that way he doesn't get hungry on the road. Incredibly nice of them. And I think that's really showing who the Ukrainian people are and how nice of a people they truly are compared to people like us here in the United States, where sharing things is kind of considered a gift and not a necessary thing. So with that, we're now going to be moving on from the location unknowns, and we're going to be moving deep into the front lines because, of course, the action has come, and the action is here. And it appears that the action is not going away, and according to the Ukrainians, it may get even a little bit more heated as we get on into the next coming weeks, as they are now mentioning and I guess you could say rumoring the idea that there will be a large offensive conducted by them here in the next few weeks. So with that, we're going to be moving on into that news, but before we do, Matthew has thrown up a poll, and of course, it mentions everyone's favorite country, Switzerland. So we're going to get to all the polls that he's thrown up. I don't think we're going to get to that one first, but we definitely will get to it here soon. So with that, what do we got for the polls, Matthew?
All right, so we have 3 to address, including that current one that is still running. But the very first one said, Russian cruise missile crossed over the territory of Moldova, according to Ukraine and Moldova. What are your thoughts? It looks like 20% said probably an accident, 67% said it was intentional by Russia, and 13% said unsure. And I have to say that Russia is known to be very, very, very incompetent and inaccurate. So it's very possible it was an accident. So I'm going to go with unsure. Yeah, it's I guess the impulse to say they did it on purpose, but in reality, I'm not really sure. But Enforcer, what say you?
My impulse would be that launching a missile that obviously would have a flight path going over Moldova has to be something deliberate. Because the idea, like imagine this. Imagine that South Korea and North Korea went to war with each other. So the North Koreans sail, and let's just say the United States is involved because otherwise this wouldn't be possible. Let's say the North Koreans sailed a frigate that they had over to the east coast of Japan and then fired a cruise missile over Japan and on into South Korea. That would be a deliberate action, kind of like their nuclear tests where they launched their missiles over Hokkaido in northern Japan and on into either the Sea of Japan, which is near Hokkaido, or over it and into the Pacific. That would be along the lines of what we're seeing right here with this cruise missile attack. And this is an attempt at a diplomatic provocation of NATO in trying to force them into trying to make some kind of public statement about it, most likely, or make an issue about it where the Russians can act like they're just the innocent ones here and they didn't do anything wrong. But the idea of even violating Moldova's airspace, which isn't a member of NATO, to fire at another country seems fairly bizarre, because even during the Gulf War, you didn't see us flying somewhere in the Strait of Hormuz and then firing a missile that would streak over the coast or the land of Iran and then into Iraq. That kind of stuff just doesn't happen. You don't do that, and I think that as some attempt at a diplomatic provocation of some one form or another, and also trying to send a message to Moldova that they are right under the range of their missiles. So with that, I hope that addresses that poll fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next poll says, speculate. Which nation do you think sent the unidentified aircraft 40,000 feet over Alaska? It looks like 67% said China, 20% said Russia, 4% said another nation, and 10% said unsure and undecided. And I personally think it was likely China sending a follow-up aircraft behind the first balloon that they sent. It is always possible that Russia decided to jump in the fun and send one themselves, but I have a feeling it wasn't them. I think they have other pressing matters that they're desperately trying to salvage. But Enforcer, what say you?
So here's what I'm gonna say. The Russians, as far as I know, don't have a drone that would be based somewhere in the eastern area of Russia and flown over to Alaska. I'm gonna say that, but let's pull that up. Russian drones. And let's see what kind of Russian drones they have. Unmanned aerial vehicles of Russia. So they have they have this thing. I'm highly doubting that that's it, because that is smaller than a small car. Let's see here, the KA-137. That just looks stupid as hell, so I'm doubting it's that. Let's see, the Yakolev. What is this? First flight in 1986? That looks stupid. That almost looks like a torpedo with a camera on it and some wings.
And it's for military use?
For military use, yeah. It's
And that bright orange like that?
let's see. Its primary use is for surveillance and observation in battlefield environments with downlinked video. Other implements and uses include target designation and as a training target. Well, that tells you how cheap it is, considering they'll just send one of these up and shoot it down. And also, there's its launcher. The Russians just make the stupidest stuff, don't they? Like, this is the stupidest looking thing I've seen. It's like they're trying to make the Wright brothers fly again.
Yeah, really. It's like, could they made the thing any smaller? And also, why would you paint that thing in orange? People are going to see it and shoot at it.
Also, why in the world did they, like, pump the suspension as low as it could go to the ground? Like, these guys are driving up to the front, and all you hear is, "All my friends love the low rider." Bum, 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 bum. Like, literally, like, the BMD doesn't have, well, the BTR does not have suspension like that. That's a BMD chassis. And if you look at a normal BMD, like, I'll show you this one, a BMD 4. Like, look how high up the wheelbase is on that thing. You're telling me that they put it down that low? Hang on.
That's so goofy.
Let me go find a BTR instead. Big Time Rush. Why the hell did that pull up? Oh, it's okay, it's BTR. I can't find the BTR's D. Let me put that in. BTRD. Okay, so here's a normal BTRD with a suspension correct. They even took out, like, the rollers on this thing. You know, because there's these little small wheels at the top of a track that help it to keep its form and help to make sure that there's no slack, and they're called rollers. And they removed those, and, like, the suspension is, like, completely flattened out. Like, this thing wouldn't be able to take a road bump. It would just get stuck. So...
And also, did they just put, like, a whole oil drum on the top of that thing and weld it to it?
I think that's, like, a steam boiler or something, and this is probably a steam catapult that's being used. But how ancient is that to use a steam catapult in the late 80s? Like, on a... You know, like, I understand steam catapults for larger things, like aircraft carriers and stuff like that. But to launch something that small and to make it as complicated as having to put a steam catapult on this thing to make that happen seems a little stupid to me. You know, I think it would just be cheaper to give it a rail and maybe put some rocket propellant on the drone itself to launch it that way. That seems easier. That seems cheaper. But it appears that this time the Russians went with the idiotic idea of putting a steam boiler and a rail on top of a BTRD to make this work. That's just stupid. It's not that one. It's not that one. We know that for sure because it has a range of only 37 miles and that wouldn't be able to cross the Bering Sea. The Zala 421, definitely not it either. It doesn't have a long enough range. The Zala 421 is even smaller. The 421, this almost looks like a Shahed. It's very similar, actually.
Interesting colors on that.
And then the Zala Lancet, and that thing's definitely not making it. No, we don't want to try that for free. But this thing's definitely not making it either, because from what we know, it doesn't have the range. So that rules out the Russians, because they don't have a drone that we know of that can actually make it that far. So that means it has to be most likely the Chinese. So let's pull up the Chinese drones. List of unmanned aerial vehicles of China. Holy
And also,
moly.
I saw some folks saying that it was a balloon this time as well, but I haven't seen anything on the news yet claiming to know exactly what the aircraft was. I think that they're still keeping that secret.
And they're also saying that it was the size of a small car, which gives us the idea that it may have been an actual drone this time, because from what I remember, and we can go and read, we'll actually read the news articles, it was some kind of a fast-moving vehicle from what we were told. So, let's see here. Let's see. Let me think. What is it called? U.S. shoots down an
UFO?
object over Alaska. So let's go find here. We'll go to CNN. Hopefully they're not doing anything, you know, because that them or Fox, and they're both about equally bad. So let's see what we got. The high altitude object. This is once again leading me to think it was a drone. It was flying at commercial altitude height. Balloons do not fly that low. They fly way higher than that, like the one we saw flying over the United States. At any given moment, even when it was being shot down in South Carolina, it was still above commercial aircraft altitude. So it being at commercial level altitude, where flights were having to be diverted and airspace was having to be closed, showed that it had to have been something else rather than a balloon.
It could still be a balloon. The balloons can fly as high as the last one did, but they can also have it fly at 40,000 feet as well. So I wouldn't rule it out, but Based on the description we've heard, I would probably lean toward it was a drone or some kind of aircraft.
So let me go to ABC real quick. The White House said an unknown high-altitude object has been shot down over the waters off Alaska. The president gave the order to shoot it down. The object has yet to be determined, although we did hear later on that pilots were able to physically see the craft and confirm that it was unmanned. So it has to be determined by this point. It was probably determined as soon as the pilots saw it. Responding to reporters' shouted questions outside the White House, the president called the operation a success. It comes just days after we shot down a Chinese balloon following a political firestorm. Kirby said the object was the size of a small car and was flying at about 40,000 feet. He said because it
see that's the weird part. The first sentence they said there. What in the world is that?
Geico could help
No,
with your
stop! We don't want to add. You're not
Cookies.
It's still running.
It's my mum's secret recipe.
A little nutmeg in there.
Okay, we're getting off of that, I guess. But go ahead,
But
Matthew.
that's the weird part. The pilots made visual contact with it. They could tell it was unmanned, but they won't release a description of what the aircraft was. And look at the first incident that happened. They knew immediately it was a balloon. So it seems like the U.S. government's kind of keeping some details secret for some reason, maybe not to escalate a situation. But I doubt it's a balloon this time.
So let's see. We're going to try and read this one here. Maybe it gives us a little bit more detail and doesn't demand that we pay. The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight. Out of an abundance of caution and the recommendation of the Pentagon, the president ordered the military to down the object, and they did, and it came inside of our territorial waters. So it never made it over the land area of Alaska. It made it into our airspace over the waters of Alaska. Kirby noted that the fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command took down the object within the last hour, adding the object was much smaller than the spy balloon that we took down last Saturday. There is no way it can be a balloon and be smaller than that. That balloon was standard size for, I guess you could say, a high-altitude balloon. So flying at 40,000 feet, that means it must have been a drone. We do not know what kind of drone, and looking at the list of Chinese drones, we can't even go through and look at all of them because they've made about 9 million of them and then a variant of each one 10 times over. So I would most likely say it was a Chinese surveillance drone that was now trying to fly into the airspace of Alaska, and it was then shot down. Also, considering that some drones can fly for an incredibly long range but at a fairly slow speed, that may also indicate that due to its altitude, its airspeed, and it was moving faster than the balloon, but from what we can tell, not by that much. It must have been some kind of a drone, maybe sent by the Chinese, because they're the only country in the area that has a drone that has that kind of range to be able to reach Alaska. And of course, I haven't shown y'all one that does have the range, but if I went through here, I could definitely find you one, because they copy American drones like no other. Oh, wait a minute. DJI. Oh, okay, that's just normal stuff. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. The Wing Long. That looks a lot like a Predator, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could say it has long wings. So
that name is something else.
Yeah, I was like, who the hell named that? But anyways, let me scroll on down and let me try and find the range on this thing. Maybe it'll tell us. The range, 2,500 miles. Has a 2,500 mile range. Keep that in mind. That thing does have the range. It could have been a Wing Long that they shot down, for all we know. So with that, I hope that addresses that fairly well. And we are on to the next poll.
All right. And also somebody said, you two are so juvenile. Okay, thank you. We do have a sense of humor here. But anyways, I guess the stream's not for him. But the third and final poll says, Switzerland rejects Spanish request to re-export Swiss-made air defense weapon to Ukraine. What are your thoughts? And oh boy, 72% said Switzerland is being obtuse again. 13% said unsure, and 16% said I sympathize with Swiss neutrality. And like I've said before, I really don't sympathize with their neutrality because they're basically, in my opinion, kind of freeloading off their neighbors, which are kind of obligated to defend NATO, and basically they're going to obstruct and do anything they can not to support the alliance that they're a part of. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say that I largely will have to remain unsure and undecided on this one, because while it'd be nice for the Swiss to provide any equipment and aid that they can, you have to remember that the Swiss have never contributed militarily to any conflict. I know someone's about to bring up, but they laundered Nazi money! And that was so that way they wouldn't have to rely on the National Redoubt that they built in the mountains, and also that is not bringing up that the Swiss got in firefights with the Germans during the Second World War on their border because German forces were trying to encroach and cross the border, and that is also not bringing up the fact that they shot down German aircraft throughout most of the earlier part of the war until they were threatened with invasion, and then they stopped shooting down German aircraft that were violating their airspace. They would also shoot down American aircraft later on in the war that somehow or some way started flying into Swiss airspace, and then they would also stop doing that when we accidentally bombed one of their towns to the ground just to send a message. So I would have to say that going off of the precedent of what Switzerland is, they're not in NATO. They're hardly in the European Union. They kind of are, but not really. I would have to say it's not really that unprecedented for the Swiss, and if it is at the end of the day their prerogative to remain neutral, and considering that they've historically remained neutral, that's what they're going to do. The Germans do have a decent amount of Gepard ammo to provide. They could start manufacturing again, and there are other countries like the Austrians, which have historically not always been neutral like the Swiss, or to their degree. They could also send Gepard ammunition as well. But it is a little unfortunate to know that the Swiss are practically the only one that manufacture that ammo, and they're not going to be willing to sell it to any combating or warring party at any given moment. So with that, I hope that does address that poll fairly well, but I don't really want to give the Swiss that hard of a time, because you have to understand that their neutrality is also written into their constitution. It is pretty much the law of the land in Switzerland that they're not supposed to get involved in anything, and they're supposed to remain as neutral as best as possible and not get involved in any kind of foreign conflicts. So with that in mind, it's really hard for them to just go, well, we're going to violate our constitution and just start helping a warring party, and pretty much break our own laws. That would be like here in the United States, allowing police officers to seize and search anything they want, although that would be a violation of the Fourth Amendment. So with that, I hope that addresses the poll fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And what happened in Forster? I remember the times when you used to let loose on Switzerland. What changed your mind?
Well, the thing that changes my mind is that a lot of Swiss viewers have reached out to us, to me, and they've explained why Switzerland can't get involved. And the reality is that they have a constitution that pretty much states they can never get involved in anything, and that's why they never have. So they just sit there and they just do their thing. And, and of course, back in the day, I brought this up before, and this is a big point, Switzerland is a double-edged sword, because while their neutrality isn't that great for Ukraine, in the future, it may be great for Ukraine all the way around. It's great in its own right. It's a special exception to every other country around the world. It's the only one that permanently remains neutral on pretty much anything and everything. And so I kind of have to respect them for that they've kept that up as best as they can through everything, through the Franco-Prussian War, which happened just right above them in Strasbourg, all the way to World War I, where they really didn't do anything then, and all the way into World War II, where depending on who largely surrounded them, they would do a couple of things with them, but that was just to make sure they never got invaded. It wasn't to actually try and ally themselves with whoever was around them, whether it be the Axis or the Allies. And they've done that all the way up until the present day. I mean, like, hell, they hardly even joined the United Nations. They reluctantly did that just a couple of decades ago. So seeing how firmly and staunchly neutral they are, it's really hard to give them a rough time when that's what they've always been doing, and they've always been getting a really tough time for being a strictly neutral country. So
that is true. That is true. I will give you that. They are consistent. But here's the one question that always blows apart their argument. What do you think would happen if, for example, Switzerland was under attack? Do you think they would appeal to NATO for help, or would they stay neutral?
Oh, they wouldn't appeal to anyone for help. Their doctrine right now focuses on the idea that they won't get help from anyone, and they have to do everything on their own.
I guarantee you they'd be reaching out for help. I would bet on it they'd be reaching out for help.
Nah, because they didn't have a plan to reach out for help in the Second World War. There was never a plan to join the Allies. Their whole plan was to just hide in the mountains and wait it out until the Germans got tired and eventually left or negotiated a peace with them. There has never been a plan in their history, even up till the present day, to count on help from anyone. Even in the Cold War, they had every single bridge and mountain pass mined with explosives because of the Soviets had started a war with the West and somehow started steamrolling them, making their way to Switzerland and started a war with them. Or if NATO started a war with them, the plan was to blow everything up and then retreat into the mountains and fight from there.
If they ask for help, would you say give it to them if they stay neutral like the way they're doing?
No. If they're a neutral country, they can't switch that as soon as the going gets rough. They're neutral and they'll permanently stay neutral. So we wouldn't give them help.
Oh, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, so you can't sit there and insist your entire national history. We're neutral. We're never gonna pick a side. And then as soon as you get screwed over, you go to the opposite side that's not screwing you over and ask for help. I would not give them help because they've never been a equal ally, a partner, or anything before that. And that wouldn't look right to sit there and immediately go, okay, you've been neutral forever and never really done anything to our benefit, but now let's go and help you out and join your side in a war. That wouldn't make much sense to me. But with that, I hope I addressed that poll fairly well. And we are on to the next one if we have one.
All right, and that was our last poll. So we're moving on to our super chat questions. And up first, we have a 50 from Tengen, formerly known as Tengen Bragiri. I feel like I'm obligated to say that. But Tengen, thank you very much. Tengen says, like button, everyone, and thank you for a great job at Enforcer and Enforcer Matt.
And thank you so much for the support, Tengen. Tengen is from the country of Norway, and really cool country. And also, Tengen Bragiri is probably our most well-known Norwegian Lee Spring Army soldier. So I don't know what type of title we should give you. I'm still thinking of one, but we will come up with one in the future. But still, everyone, make sure to hit that like button. It helps the stream to reach more people. It helps the Lee Spring Army to grow. And with y'all, we can continue to make this channel one of the largest covering the Ukraine war. And hopefully here in the future, not too far in the near future, we will have some incredible things that are happening. And speaking of which, it is the time to announce the news, the big news.
It's time?
Yeah, we're going to have to send out a little press release to everyone else who's currently involved in it. But we are doing something massive on February 24th. Y'all might want to stick around and hear this because y'all are going to be really excited for this. This is a great one. We have put a massive load of effort and a lot of time into something that we've really wanted to do for a while. And for now, this may be the only time that we're doing this. But we are setting up a podcast where we are both going to be on camera in a set. And we're going to be running the show from there. We're going to be bringing on some of the largest YouTubers that y'all know in the Ukraine war world. We have reached out to Perun. We have not gotten a response back from him, but hopefully we'll get one soon. We have Operator Starsky most likely coming on, but we're not really sure about that right now. But it seems as though he may be coming on, may not be coming on. We have Denis Davidov coming on. We have Ukraine Matters coming on. And we have, I believe, Ronnie Fit. I also reached out to Ronnie Fit. I don't know if he is coming on yet. But we're going to have pretty much anyone and everyone who's covered the Ukraine war on that night. We'll be bringing them on as guests, talking about the whole entire year in reflection and running a fundraiser for Doctors Without Borders. Not only that, but for the first time ever, we're going to have a reward. Well, not a reward. It's going to be an award for a person that is picked in the fundraiser. The fundraiser will have practically an unlimited goal. It may be a night where we actually do not reach the goal because I'm going to put the goal up so high, but if every time if you donate at all to the fundraiser, whether it be $1, whether it be $500, $1,000, your name is going to be put into a system, and we are going to, and you can't like put in like 5 million, like donations of $1, and that increases your chances. It'll just be a one-time, one-deal thing. If you put in one donation, if it's $1, $5,000, your name is put in. At the end of the stream, it'll randomly select one of y'all, and as the award that y'all get, y'all are going to get an Su-27 model from Hobby Master. It's a Ukrainian Su-27, and y'all will also get a battle flag that has been flown over the fields of Bakhmut and signed by the soldiers that were there. So it's going to be incredible, and I cannot wait for it to come around because we've been working on it a lot. It has been incredibly time-consuming, both on Matthew and my end. Matthew's more so been working on the set. I've been working on trying to make the show part of it happen, and hopefully all of it comes together and we get everything going perfectly. We put in a lot of effort into this, and I hope that it's great. So make sure to spread the word and let people know what will be going on February 24th. This is going to be the biggest day in channel history. So with that, we are now.
And let me say before you get off this topic, that model Ukrainian Su-27 is absolutely sick. We did unbox it because we have to show it on the night of the podcast. That thing is incredible. I gotta say, whoever gets it, you're gonna be incredibly impressed with it.
So I'll show you.
It's definitely top notch.
I'll show you all a picture of one here. It's this Hobby Master Ukrainian Su-27. It's this one. It comes with a stand, comes with everything. We actually got 2 of them, so that way we could show one on stream. And we're going to be sending the one that y'all win, still boxed up. It's going to be completely unopened and brand new. So you'll be able to get this Ukrainian Su-27 if you win the random donation stream. So with that, I hope y'all enjoy that. And also, of course, we don't have pictures of the battle flag yet. It's currently on its way from Ukraine. It was just shipped from an unknown location. Well, I know where it came from, but it was shipped from an unknown location today. And y'all will also get a battle flag that's actually been flown over the fields of Ukraine, which is going to be, honestly, the Su-27 is cool. In my opinion, I think the battle flag is even more cool because it was actually there on the front lines. So with that, also, yes, we will be live in person. We'll actually be on camera, and we have 3 cameras. This is actually, because it's 3 cameras, it's been incredibly expensive to do because, like, the cameras, I didn't realize how expensive a single camera was until we started doing this, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, cameras are expensive. But we got 3 of them. One of them will be on Matthew, one of them will be on me, and then we'll have a wide shot. We're going to be able to flip through to the computer. Y'all still be able to see the computer screen like y'all are right now. Y'all be able to see us on the big screen. It's going to be a huge deal. It's going to be massive. And if y'all like it, I hope y'all do. I really hope y'all do like it. But anyways, with that, I hope y'all enjoyed me rambling on about this. There will be announcements made on every single channel that's involved in that night's stream as well, so you'll see who is involved, but I hope that y'all enjoy it, and hopefully we'll be able to blow that fundraiser out of the sky. And also, that's kind of the crazy part about it. We're doing this all for a fundraiser, so make sure to show up. We're going all out for it, and hopefully we can raise more support on that fundraiser than we ever have before on a single one. So with that, we are on to the next question. I don't even know if it's the first or the second or the third one now, but let's get on to the next one.
So it's going to be the second one. And also, for all the folks who have been wondering the entire time, why we've been saying that we have to wait until day 365 to get to anything else, and that's because this project is super time consuming. This is the largest technical setup I have ever done, and I consider myself somewhat of a tech person, and it's very challenging even for me. And also, in the Forces End, he's got a boatload of stuff he's doing trying to get these guests. So after day 365, we should have more videos coming out, especially for my channel as well, and we'll be able to get back to diversifying our projects a little bit.
And also,
but nonetheless,
also
yes.
Real quick to add in something extra here, because some people have been asking, why do we keep on bringing up that one thing with that one YouTuber? We were actually trying to get him involved in this, and he blew us off 5 times while I was trying to reach out to him and get him involved in this. So that's why I've kept on bringing that up so much, because that just annoyed me that we were trying to go through so much effort to help out. And then he, I guess being petty, just wanted to throw that all out there. But anyways, we're moving on from that. We're going to have a great time on the stream. We're going to get as many people as we can on, and we're all going to be promoting Doctors Without Borders and hopefully helping out in a way that we've never seen. So with that, I think we're on to the second question of the segment.
All right, and the second one goes to Rustin Rott, who puts in a $40 donation and says, "You will hit 1 million soon. Well done, and be proud. And when you are a lawyer, remember that upholding the truth in everything you do is what you will be judged on by your peers." Please grab a question from the chat.
And thank you so much for the support. And also, we are getting close to 1 million, relatively, like $760 something thousand. It's incredibly great. I still think we have a ways to go to 1 million, but wouldn't that be crazy, Matthew, if we were able to raise so much on February 24th that we did reach 1 million? Like, that would be wild. I don't even think that's possible. I don't even think that would happen. But if that did happen, I would be completely blown away. So with that, thank you so much for the support. I will make sure to always look back on this time in my life and think that it was a incredibly special and grand moment, because it really, what we're doing is unbelievable. We've had soldiers reach out to us and say that they watch our channel and that it's an inspiration. We've had a whole bunch of people reach out and say that it's been an inspiration. It's been unbelievable, and especially seeing what the Leaf Spring Army is and what it's turned into. I think it's absolutely impressive. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address that comment fairly well. And we are on, I believe, to the last question of this segment, and then we're going to be moving back into the news on the front lines.
All right, and the third and final one goes to JJS Korfball, who puts in a $55 donation, but sadly, no comment. And also, it's €55, by the way, in case the Enforcer was curious. But Enforcer, what say you?
And thank you so much, JJS Korfball. It shows that it's the first time you've supported the stream. But it's gotten that wrong several times now, so I'm doubting it. But I believe I've never seen your name before, if I'm correct, Matthew.
I believe they are new. Yes, I believe they are.
I think you may be new. Now, don't take that personally if you're not, because it's saying that it's your first time, and I'm like, is it? Because it's like, if you did send in a super chat before, it must have been a while ago. But still, I thank you so much once again for the support, JJS, and helping this channel to keep on running. Because if it was not for viewers like you, this wouldn't have been possible for an entire year. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we're now going to be moving on from the question segment and on into our frontline news, all the way back into Ukraine and into the north. And so, let's take a look at what's been going on up there. And y'all are probably going to be blown away, because guess what? It's like every other day of the week, nothing happened. Nothing moved. So let's move on into Svatove, where we saw some Ukrainians dropping a bomblet directly into the hole. I guess you could say fire in the hole. We can hear the sumo music playing as they now drop the F1 grenade into the hole. It then falls directly inside of it and explodes, causing a small ammunition fire and taking out the inhabitants. Well, wait a minute. Oh, we got a runner. Oh, look, another one. And a third one. And a fourth one. Wait, hang on. Okay, they're dropping another one. Boof. Okay, one of them fell over. They finally got one. Oh, so now we know what music is playing now. We know what music that is. Anyways.
Curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. But anyways, that's the end of the clip. Great to see that they were able to knock out a couple of Russians. And that was like a clown car. They dropped that bomblet into that tiny hole and like 4 guys came crawling out. I don't even know how they got out, because I thought that it would get them. But that was nuts. So anyways, we're now moving on into our next clip out of the Svatove area, because that's all we saw from that direction today, and it's most likely more so near Kuzmivka, so we'll put it there. And we're now moving on down into the Kreminna area, where once again, the action has picked up. We still have no explanation, a good explanation as to why. We don't really see that the Russians or the Ukrainians are really starting out a hard-on offensive in this area, trying to push the other out, or take Kreminna or Torske, or try and push back towards Liman. But starting off with our first clip, we saw a Ukrainian Max Pro on the move. And this was marked as NSFW, but I watched the entire video and there was nothing NSFW in this thing. When you see one of the Max Pros driving by, the soldiers on top just riding along, that thing is tall, man. That's like a 2-story building on wheels.
I love that vehicle.
That thing is so cool. And also in the NATO tricolor, I love the NATO tricolor camo. You can see it moving on down the little dirt road. We can see the soldiers trudging on alongside in their winter camo. Quite a decent amount of soldiers, and now they're taking a rest. Now you can see them getting out of the Max Pros further on in the distance. Let's see if there's any music. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, there was music. So they're getting out of the Max Pros, and the video's in. But still, giving you a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the Kreminna area, and it looks like good stuff is going down, and hopefully it keeps on going. With that, we're now going to be moving on into our next clip of news from Kreminna, where we also saw a Ukrainian defensive position in the area. And you see them firing over the top of their trench. And we can see that the snowfall has been somewhat moderate. That's the end of the clip. And hopefully they're able to give the Russians one hell of a time. It appears that they're in a direct firefight because you can hear the return fire right there. But beyond the 8 seconds of this clip, we don't really know how the rest of this unfolded. However, we did hear from the Russian forces that apparently the Ukrainian defenses in this area are impenetrable, and even the small probing attacks that they're making are getting nowhere. Very interesting to hear, because keep this in context, the Russians can hardly break through a Ukrainian line at all. And so the fact that they're not even getting close to breaking through, that shows you that they're not having a good time up there. But here's the intercepted phone call.
Так а ты где, в какой сейчас деревне?
Я не в деревне, я на поле живу.
Где там? В поле?
В поле, ну, 20 километров от Красного Лимана, а эти укропы от нас 2 километра. Авиация прилетит наша, нахуй, этих, ебать. Они там как будто разводятся, что ли, сука. Утихнут на час, нахуй, потом как начнут ебашить опять, нахуй.
Да.
Но самолеты по 5-6 раз, нахуй, в день залетают, долбят их. У них хуй там эти блиндажи, окопы, нахуй, по 2,5 метра бетоном залиты, нахуй. Не могут пробить, нахуй.
Да зачем?
Но вот самолеты и эти вертушки К-52, эти новые, это ебать, залетят, отхуярят, нахуй, хоть бы хуй. Они тут же бетономешалку пригоняют, заливают и дальше воюют, нахуй.
А, нихуя.
Мы здесь правый угол выдавить не можем, они в натуре как размножаются, ебать. Вот такая хуйня.
He said that we can't push them out. It's like they're wait a minute. What was the exact term? Reproducing. So they're like they're shooting at the Ukrainians. There's only 5 of them. We can get them now, Bliet, with our 100 guys. And then 20 more Ukrainians just come pouring out the same door. Oh, kill them! And they just start firing back on the Russians. I like it. That right there is a huge cope when they say it's like they're reproducing. Apparently the Russian concept of reinforcements doesn't exist, so they just call it reproducing.
Вот такая хуйня. А у вас
Ну это надо бетоном сколько залиться, нахуй.
по 5-6 штук со спутника смотришь, по 5-6 машин, нахуй. Едут в поле, хуй, под землю исчезли. Все, у них город под землей, нахуй. Они вот эти окопы, хуёпы. Но потом выскочат, нахуй. С минометами, танки выйдут, отхуярят.
Dang, dude, this guy is making the Ukrainians sound like some kind of mythical beast that lives under the ground. Like, it just crawls out, kills them, and then crawls back into a hole underground. Like, this guy is making it sound like it's impossible to actually fight the Ukrainians. He's like, man, they just pop up, they killed 40 of us, and then they hide, and we can't even shoot at them, man. They're like beating us up, stealing our lunch money. It's terrible.
А наши пробить не могут.
And you know what my thing is that he's saying it's like the Ukrainians are reproducing. I mean, like, it doesn't take a lot to produce a Russian soldier, does it? All you have to do is pull down your pants and shit, and you've got a brand new Russian soldier right there. So why in the world is he acting like, why in the world is he acting like it's so hard to counter the amount of Ukrainian soldiers there are? You can make Russian soldiers in the field with the same level of training as a normal one just by taking a number 2. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But still, this guy's having a rough time going up against the forces in Crimea, and rightfully so. It serves him right, and it looks like they're not making any ground anyways, even with the small probing attacks that they're making in the direction of Dubrova. And so we're now going to be moving on out of the area of Crimea and further on down the front line and into the Bakhmut region, where once again the battle's going on strong. It appears, however, the Russians have started to stall once again. They made a small little area of ground here. It's starting to turn into the shape of a dog's head. You can see the ears, the snout, and where the eyes would be right there, and as they try and move a little bit closer to the M03. However, the Ukrainians are about to put this sick dog down, as we saw a video of some Ukrainian reinforcements entering the area, and it looks like they're quite numerous. And they may have also been reproducing off the field, because this is an excessive amount of Ukrainians.
Чуєш? А? Ти мені скажи, нахуя ти мене втягнув цю всю хуйню? Яку? Бо цю всю з цими мужиками. Що, смішний?
Man, that's a lot of British armored personnel carriers. Like, all of them are Stormer APCs. Every single one of them. But it looks like the Russians may be having a hard time around here because, yeah, you know, there's a lot of reinforcements coming in for sure, and they're not going to be taking it easy on the Russians whatsoever. Moving on into the next area near the Dog's Head, we saw a failed Russian push that was stopped by some good Ukrainian work. As we can see, the push had already been stopped at this point, and we can see some Russian soldiers napping quite peacefully in the fields, and some artillery pop marks around. And you know, I've seen a new Russian bot movement online, Matthew, and this is the funniest one ever. They're saying, I don't even think the war in Ukraine is really happening because there's no videos showing the war.
There's videos all over the place of the war.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, look at these videos. Those bots need to look at these because the Russians are not having an easy time. They're taking incredibly high casualties. Now see them zooming in here. We can see a couple of more sprinkled around. They're sprinkled on like sprinkles on a sprinkle donut. And so with that, that's the end of the clip. And I've got to say, it's terrible to know that such litter has been dropped on the road because obviously it impedes traffic and it also pollutes the environment. Terrible, terrible. Next time, they need to put these in a recycle bin or something else. But with that, we're now going to be moving on from that clip in the northern area of the Bakhmut line and down on into the center. Interestingly enough, as the battle has continued to progress, and while it is as pitched and as heavily fought now as it's ever been, the number of clips that we're getting from Bakhmut are starting to decrease, and we have noticed this. We don't really know what that's truly indicating, whether it is Ukrainian withdrawal from the area and they're preparing new defensive lines, or whether it's just a lot more difficult to get video footage. We can't really tell. But we can see here an interesting couple of pictures that showed the last moments of someone that was actually mentioned on stream during a question segment. Someone brought up a while ago that a foreign volunteer by the name of Peter Reed had been killed in Bakhmut and asked me if I had heard of it. And I said yes, and I actually did hear of it. He was killed by a Russian strike. He was evacuating people from the area, and he ended up dying from his injuries after being transported to a hospital. Interestingly enough, I actually came up today on some just released pictures of Peter Reed's final moments before he was hit by this Russian attack and then would later succumb to his injuries further on behind the lines. And I thought it was incredibly important to show these pictures tonight because while they're not incredibly graphic, they do give you an idea of the risks that these foreign volunteers go through to help out people that they didn't even know before they entered this war. And so keep that in mind. These pictures, you're looking at pretty much the last moments of several of these guys. So as you can see right there, you can see the group of guys. Peter Reed is right there. And that you see in front of him in the picture is a coordinate anti-tank guided missile that is flying directly into the back of their van as they're trying to evacuate citizens from the area and get them to someplace safer. In the second picture, you can see the coordinate anti-tank guided missile once again highlighted in the picture as the cameraman is taking pictures of them across the street, and you can see that the coordinate is aimed straight at their van. Notice that this van has no military markings on it whatsoever. No cross, no yellow armband, no Ukrainian flag, and they targeted this thing directly knowing that it was most likely a humanitarian evacuation vehicle. And this was. None of these guys are armed. None of them have AKs. Every single one of them is involved in an evacuation mission, which is humanitarian in its goal. And the Russians went out of their way to target this group with that cornet and slam it right into that van, wounding and killing pretty much everyone that you see in this picture. On the final picture here is from when the cornet first entered frame. You can see it passing the destroyed vehicle that we've seen earlier and making its way onto the van. Of course, once it impacted the van that you see right there, it exploded, wounding and killing almost everyone here, and Peter Reed would later succumb to his injuries later on behind the lines. And once again, the fact of the matter is that this poor guy went over there to help out, and right now he's not even carrying a weapon. I don't even know if Peter Reed had ever carried a weapon in the entirety of the war. I think, as far as I remember, Peter Reed was just a medic, a part of the Foreign Legion, but never an armed part of the Foreign Legion, and was just helping out people behind the lines and trying to help them survive. And the Russians went out of their way to kill clearly unarmed people who were evacuating citizens. This right here shows you the barbarity and the sickness of the Russians to try and pull off a war crime like this. This may as well be on the exact same level as attacking the Red Cross. It's sickening, and it's sad to think that these were the final seconds of these people over here while they were trying to do a great humanitarian cause and effort to save these people. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on from that and into our next bit of news from Bakhmut, where we once again see Bakhmut City today. And you can see pillars of smoke rising all over the city as it's been hit by artillery from the Russians and is being fervently held by the Ukrainians as the battle still continues on. It looks like in this picture either Bakhmut was being covered by a very thick cloud cover that was very low in altitude, or that maybe all of the smoke condensing at a certain altitude due to the temperature and creating pretty much some artificial clouds over the city. I can't really tell you which one it is, but still, Bakhmut holds, and you can see that it, of course, is a very heavy and very pitched battle. We're now going to be moving on from that little bit of news as well, and on into the south near Klishkivka in the southern flank of the battle, where we saw some Russians being hit by grenades from the 30th Brigade. Also, I'm going to have to mute that. Now we can see the Russians hanging out in this ditch. We can see the drone watching them. We can see the grenade on its way. Ooh! In your face! They got him. And it looks like they're, you know, they're trying to get in their exercises, their daily stretches up here for the day. And it looks like they got a couple of them fairly good. So with that, that's the end of the clip. But fairly interesting to see that that bomblet fell right in the middle of a group and got a couple of them. You know what they say, you can't get Russians without dropping a couple of eggs on them. And so we're now going to be moving on out of the Bakhmut area, and those little clips we saw today, fairly nice to see. And moving on down into the Donetsk region near Avdiivka, where we also saw another failed Russian push. We're going to have to mute that, because that music is built different, and it also gets copyrighted. But you can see the Russian vehicles here on the small road crossing the tree line. And you can see that they paused, and it looks like some Russians in winter camo are sitting on top of it. Very rare to see winter camo being used by the Russians, so this may be a better equipped unit than normal. We now see one of the BMPs with some stuff spread around, and we can now see some Russians spread around, hiding in a tree line, and hoping that they're not next. The BMP-2 appears to have been fairly destroyed, the engine bay has been damaged, and the second BMP-2 has also been fairly destroyed as well. That BMP-2 has also been destroyed and abandoned. This T-72B, as you can tell, been destroyed and abandoned. These two T-72Bs were also destroyed and abandoned. And that last BMP and that BMP-1 were also destroyed. And we can see some Russians there that enjoyed the snow. They were making snow angels. And we can see that little vehicle right there sitting on the road. And a couple of more Russians that are trying to have a snowball fight, but I think that they're just taking a break from the fun for a bit. Well, that's the end of the clip. But once again, very interesting to see that their push on Avdiivka, while not even being part of a real battle, took massive losses. 3 tanks and 8 armored personnel carriers were lost in this small skirmish today. And the kind of numbers that you don't really want to advertise as being the second best military in the world. Certainly the second best military in your imagination. With that, we're now going to be moving on out of the Donetsk area, as there's not much news to report from there. And we're now moving on down into Volodar, where for some reason an incredibly pitched battle is occurring for a fairly small town in the middle of a flat field. We still have no idea, and I've gone over the strategic pertinence of this town before. I really have no idea why they're wanting to take it, because they could easily... Well, no, I see why they're trying to take it, because Volodar is an overlook onto Pavlivka and also Mikilske, and if the Ukrainians hold it, they could try and resupply it one way, shape, or form. The Ukrainians could continue to fire on any Russian advance occurring in the area, so I see the strategic importance of it. But at the same time, it's kind of crazy to see that this is becoming one of the highest lost battles in the Southern Front that we've seen over pretty much the course of the war. But moving on from that and on into Volodar itself, we got to take a good look at Volodar before and after the battle began. When you see right here, the before picture, this was taken on January 11th of 2023, and we could see a couple of pop marks around in the field, some areas where some fires may have broken out, artillery shelling may have occurred. Now, we fast forward to the present day, and you can see oddly enough, I actually got that on the mark. This appears to be the area that the Russians are trying to advance in the most, because they have fired the most artillery into that area, and also the Ukrainians have fired the most artillery into that area as well, creating literally a black hole on the camera. And this is where there is a small amount of low-density residential buildings that could easily be fought for and held by the Russians and used as a stepping stone to get on into the high-rises and Khrushchevkas of Volodar proper. And it appears that both sides have reduced that to a pulp, so that little low residential area doesn't exist anymore, and it looks like the fields everywhere around Volodar have been salted and peppered with artillery shelling by the Russians and the Ukrainians heading down towards the Pavlivka area. So giving you an idea of the ferocity of the shelling that's been going on in this area. Moving on into the next clip from Volodar, we also saw more tanks being destroyed today. Gotta give credit to the Russians. No one knows how to destroy Russian tanks like the Russians do. So let's watch it. Oh, we gotta mute it now. And is that a giant excavator right there? That looks like a huge excavator right there.
It does. Massive one.
And right beside it, we can see some huge explosions. Look at those. And you know what those are? Russian tanks. Oh, wow, that one got the treatment. Look at that, it's gone. Like, the only thing that's left is the roof of the hull. That one's also destroyed well. I don't even know what vehicle that was, but it was probably an APC. We can see another one that was also destroyed. Golly, they didn't leave anything behind. That's about how me and Matthew eat a chicken wing right there. No meat left on the bones, and that's how the Ukrainians did those tanks right there. That is pretty much the bones, and that's it. No meat left. Nothing to recover. Maybe some spare metal, but even that's a stretch. So we're now going to be moving on from this clip and into the next one from Volodar, where we also saw more Russian APCs that didn't fare well. And I guess you can say that while they didn't fare well, they did say farewell. Pun intended. Let's watch the clip. Oh, all right, here we go.
With this, but it's really hard. Like,
so we're gonna mute that. Oh, wait a minute. This is from another guy. So he got this footage. So credit to him. Apparently map.ukraine ukrainedailyupdate.com. I had the footage, I had the audio muted the first time I listened to this, so I didn't even know there was someone commentating on it. But we can see some Russian vehicles racing forward. It appears that the footage has been sped up. There's a soldier passing the column on the road. It appears that the column stopped for a second. They may have picked up that soldier. They're now moving through the tree line and onto the left side of the tree line and now moving down towards the drone. And they're moving in a nice little column. We now see them moving up to a destroyed tank. Always a good sign of things to come. It's almost like a salad at Olive Garden. You know that the good food's coming soon after the salad arrives, and that destroyed tank is almost like a salad at Olive Garden.
Just keep eating the salad. Just eat the soup and salad all day.
I gotta tell you, man, that chicken gnocchi soup is to die for. Like, that's some good soup.
That salad's pretty good, too. I like the dressing.
We can see the artillery falling around the APCs as we talk about soup and salad. And you too can get unlimited soup and salad from Olive Garden. We're not sponsored by them though. But anyways, we can see the APCs racing to the next tree line. It appears that they stopped for a second. They unloaded an infantryman. The first vehicle runs over a mine and explodes. The rest of the infantry and the other APCs start clambering out. It doesn't look like anyone's getting out of the first one right now. When you see it explode again, it may actually be artillery hitting. Wait a minute, hang on. Wait a minute, did I miss something? Did the other APC just drive up alongside it and blow up? It did. Oh my god. The Darwin Award winner right here. The Darwin Award has just been won by this BMP crew. Oh, bleh, the first one blew up in the tree line? Bleh, man, bleh, if I drive through it, nothing would happen to me, right? They drive literally to the left of it and then go, and get blown up too. Oh man, I was just thinking about it. The Russians, whenever they see an open area in a tree line that's filled with mines, oh crap, it's filled with mines. We have to have someone to clear it. And then the BMP driver just goes, for you, and then just drives into it and blows up. Oh my god. So they lost both of the BMPs. Now there's just a squad sitting in the middle of this field, and they don't know what to do. You know, their commander was probably in that BMP, and he just got killed. So now they're just hanging out in the field. They have no idea what's going on anymore. And now we see artillery following on the tanks further back. We can see what appears to be 3 tanks moving around near this tree line. I think everyone started saying it. Let me do it for you.
Long snoot.
Oh man, those Borzois are crazy looking. But anyways, it looks like the column's moving up again. It's almost like it's on replay. I don't know if this is an instant replay, but we're going to watch it just in case if it isn't. Oh, there goes one from a mine. Oh no. Oh, how unfortunate. When you see them unloading the crew on these BMPs, and that one runs over a mine. Hey! Give it up to the landmines. I mean, like, the Russians are so stupid, landmines actually work. Oh, wait a minute. Don't tell me that was about to run over a mine, too. Oh, my God. How in the world did they do it? How did they do it? How do you run over them? Like, there were so many places. Oh, my God. It blows me away how stupid these people are. Call them out. Call them out. This is ridiculous.
Like a lemming when it sees a cliff, goes right off the side.
Like this guy watched every other BMP blow up in the unit, and he goes, "Oh, my turn," and then just drives over one. Let's watch that again. Like, look at how perfectly he turned it. It's like he's trying to line the thing up to hit the grenade. Well, the mine. I'm sorry, not a grenade, a mine. It just blows me away. Sometimes you just wonder. And look at him. Now they climb out of the tank like, oh shit, the insurance won't cover that. But with that, that's the end of the video. It just, I'm going to tell y'all, I know that I've been here for 12 months and I've seen it all. I've seen things that I don't even show on stream. It blows me away with how the stupidity is just replicated every single time with every single Russian in every single unit. I have never in my life thought I would see this much stupidity, and I thought high school was bad. This is worse. I mean, like, hell, this is stupidity uncapped, no cap, like on God. Like, this is just terrible. So with that, that's the end of that clip. Gotta give it to the Russians. No one can kill Russians like the Russians can. And we're now moving on into Pavlivka, where we also saw the Ukrainians destroying a large amount of Russian infantry in the Pavlivka direction. So here's the thermal footage. When you see the Russians moving up, when you see that the spacing is good if you're talking about spacing in between groups, but the grouping of the groups is terrible. It's like just a couple of feet in between guys. Some of them are probably like stepping on each other's heels and going, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, man. So you see them still moving in. They're moving into the small village in the Pavlivka area. Shell hits far to the right. They're still moving up. They've made it to the houses now. And the shells are landing pretty far out to the right. They'll adjust here in a second. I'm sure they'll hit them dead on. And it looks like they're creeping a little over to the left now. When you see they're getting almost right on them. Ooh, dead on hit. That was right in the middle of the unit. They're gone. They're on holiday now. Or as the Russians call it, a non-paid leave. Water park ticket time. So with that, that's the end of the clip. And quite a clip for sure. The Ukrainians got those guys good. And so we're now going to be moving on from the Volodar area, because Volodar is fun and all, but there's only so much to cover down there. There's only so many times you can watch the Ukrainians blow away Russians until there's not any Russians to blow away. So we're now going to be moving past the southern front and on into the Kherson area, because the southern front hasn't had much happening in it, and on into the Kherson area where, of course, there's been no frontline movement, but the Ukrainians did destroy 4 Mista-S SPGs in this area today. And living up to their namesake, all 4 of these Mista S's would get misted by shrapnel and end up catching on fire. We can see the first one getting hit right there. We can see the second one getting hit right there. The third one's about to be hit over here. Actually, that one's still smoldering. We gotta wait for that one to cook. Like that meme says, Matthew, wait, let him cook. There's the third one. The third one just got hit. It's been destroyed. And we're going to be going to the fourth one right here. And it's also been destroyed. Man, these families are going to be getting fur coats like no other, made out of the finest mink.
Man. Oh, we got a bot. Get out of here, bot. Bye-bye.
I'm waiting to see. Oh, yeah, that one. Oh, he literally wrote it in Russian. He said, Slava Russia, are you? Oh, pitiful, pitiful. He coped, but poorly. He coped poorly. So with that, we're now moving on from that clip and on into our last one, where we saw a Polish war mate, y'all can see where I got the words mixed up there, munition being used on the Russians on the left bank of the Dnieper River. Let's watch. So we got a Russian dock here. We can already see smoke rising off of it. A great sign. We can see Russians running out of the house. Wow, a group of them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can we get a 9th one? No, no 9th one. Just 8. So you can see them moving along the docks. They're just running around, being silly little dudes, having a silly little time out of the docks. Reminds me of the time that Matthew and me would go riding pontoon boats. But that was a long time ago. I think that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was a hell of a long time ago.
Oh, you can see the Ukrainians launching the bottle rocket. There goes the bottle rocket. And it's, oh my god, wait a minute, it's already got him? It did! Okay, let's watch this again. Let's see how
Don't laugh at that thing anymore. It's serious.
Man, this is the bottle rocket with a punch. So we're watching the building that they all went into. And that's the end of the clip. It didn't really come together well, but I think we got the end result of what it actually did. But we don't know how many losses it inflicted. I'm sure that a couple of guys did get it, though. So with that, we're now moving on out of the Kherson area. That's all the news we had to report from there. But once again, the Russians are just taking losses, just standing around and being silly little dudes, just waiting for their turn. We're now going to be moving all the way back up to Kyiv to cover the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky here on day 353 of the war. And so, without further ado, here's the speech. He's back, and he's giving the daily addresses. So, let me put that up there, let me turn up the volume, and here we go.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці. Завершується вже 5-й день цього тижня. В чомусь дуже складного тижня. Точно дуже змістовного. Хочу підкреслити кілька речей за підсумками цього тижня. Сьогодні провів чергове засідання Ставки. Це було насичене засідання. Детально розглянули ситуацію на передовій, зокрема на Донеччині, Бахмутській та інші найгарячіші напрямки, важкі напрямки. Розглянули на Ставці ситуацію з постачанням зброї, загальну ситуацію із захистом держави. Вже готуємось до нового Рамштайну. І в тому числі про це говорили, про нові опції в обороні, які маємо відкрити для України разом з партнерами. Друге, що важливо було в цьому тижні, наш дипломатичний марафон. Лондон, Париж, Брюссель. Всюди я говорив цими днями про те, як посилити наших воїнів. Є дуже важливі домовленості, і ми отримали хороші сигнали. Це стосується як далекобійних ракет і танків, так і наступного рівня нашої співпраці – бойової авіації. Але над цим треба нам ще попрацювати. Я був дуже радий почути і побачити, що наші хлопці в Британії швидко навчаються керувати челенджерами. Я був дуже радий переконатися, наскільки британці прагнуть, щоб ми перемогли. Все це надихає. Я вдячний пану прем'єр-міністру, парламенту Британії і усім британцям, і, звичайно, його величності королю. Фундаментальна зустріч відбулася у Франції з президентом Макроном і канцлером Шольцем. Ми втрьох провели переговори, і це правильна розмова. Розкривати її деталі неправильно, але можна сказати, що ми почули одне одного. Франція – Україну, Німеччина – Україну. Партнери почули нашу позицію, наші аргументи, і буде більше підтримки. Я дякую за це пану президенту і усім французам, пану канцлеру і усім німцям. Відчувається це розуміння, що захист України – це захист інтересів і наших партнерів. Брюссель. Засідання Європейської Ради та наш спеціальний формат переговорів після засідання, переговорів з лідерами ЄС, не тільки в рамках Євроради, а в рамках спеціальних зустрічей, які відбулись після саміту. Загалом я зустрівся з усіма лідерами Євросоюзу, а тепер наше спільне завдання – взяти все те, про що ми говорили та домовлялися, і трансформувати у конкретне постачання, у конкретні документи, у конкретні нові лінії співпраці. Третє. Європейський парламент. Це було не просто моє звернення як президента України, це був символічний момент, певний ціннісний підсумок шляху, який ми пройшли у відносинах з Євросоюзом, і початок нового етапу, коли Україна в Європейському парламенті, в Європейській Раді та інших інституціях Євросоюзу вже не гість, не партнер з-поза меж ЄС, коли Україна стає повноправною частиною Євросоюзу. Цього тижня я сказав багато слів вдячності нашим союзникам і партнерам, усім, хто нам допомагає. А зараз я хочу сказати слова вдячності вам, українці. Для мене завжди честь представляти Україну, і я пишаюся нашим прекрасним і міцним народом. Ви чули і бачили, як вітають Україну. Це те, що зробили ми всі разом. Це те, як вітають вас. Я пишаюся українською сміливістю, я пишаюся українською незламністю, я пишаюся українською результативністю, я пишаюся вами усіма, хто воює і працює заради нашої держави, хто підтримує фронт і державу. Дякую усім вам. Звичайно, окремо хочу сьогодні відзначити наших льотчиків, усіх наших бійців повітряних сил, кожного і кожну, хто захищає українське небо. Поки що, на жаль, ми не можемо збивати всі російські ракети, але всі ті десятки ракет, які збиваємо щоразу під час масованих нальотів, це щоразу сотні врятованих життів. І це врятована інфраструктура, те, що дає життя народу. Я дякую вам, повітряні сили. Ми зробимо все, щоб у вас були сучасні та ефективні крила. Історичні результати для України завжди ближче, ніж може здаватися. Слава нашим воїнам, слава нашому прекрасному народу, слава усьому світі, хто рішуче боротися за свободу разом із нами. Слава Україні!
And with that is the end of the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky here on day 353 of the news of the war in Ukraine, and that wraps out our news summary for the night as well. If you were here for the news alone, the news segment has ended, and we're about to be going into the question segment for the rest of the night, addressing every single super chat that's come in, and also addressing as many live chats as possible. But before we move on into that, make sure that if you haven't already, to subscribe, to hit the like button, and also to comment and spread the word of the Lee Spring Army around wherever you can. Also, by the way, last night, I forgot to mention this on stream, but I wanted to mention it tonight now that I remembered. I remember I was scrolling through Reddit, and one of the forums I usually go to find some of this news that I throw on the stream, and the person who had posted it put in parentheses at the end of it, "Hey, Enforcer." And I forgot about
Really?
Yeah, they put a. Let me see if I can go find it. Real quick. Let's see, Russian bait. I think it may have been this one. Nope. Wait, hang on. Let me go to the next one. Direct hit to BMD. I think it was in the location unknowns. And I'm trying to remember where it was. Because I remember I commented on it, and I was like, hey, it's like, gonna be on the news tonight. Let me see, where the hell is it? It's not that one. It's not the Cashew Report, because that was on Twitter. Where the hell is it? Maybe it was here. SPG destroyed by artillery? No, I think it was a mortar kind of thing. BMPT in action. BMPT Terminator destroyed. I don't know. I forgot where it was. But still, anyways, whoever that was, I can't find it, but I thought that was really cool, and I thank you so much for doing that. I thought that was really neat because I was making the news and I saw that. I was like, oh, how cool. So like, they knew I'd be coming through here and gathering up the news. And I thank you for sharing that with all of us. And I also thank you for enjoying that it is on the news, because y'all out there who post those videos around on Twitter and Reddit and on all the subreddits, y'all really helped me to put the news together. And so I got to thank y'all. And also it's cool that y'all watch as well. But I wanted to bring that up tonight since I remembered it, and I thought that was incredibly kind of you. And so with that, we're now moving on into the question segment. We're going to be addressing the polls first, and then we'll get to the super chats. And once we cover all the super chats, we'll then move into the question, the live chat segment, and answer all of the live chats that we have as well. And so with that, let's get to the polls.
All right. So for our final question segment, we have 2 polls to address. And sadly, I kind of ran out of poll material tonight. But hopefully we'll have some more tomorrow, which I bet we will. What the very first poll said: the U.S. president will be visiting Poland during the year anniversary of the war. What are your thoughts? 62% said it's just nothing will happen. And some people were asking what that means. And I was kind of alluding to the fact that the U.S. might have intelligence that Russia isn't going to do anything on the anniversary. And thus the president feels it somewhat safe to go to Poland. But 62% went with that option. 26% said unsure. And 12% said that's risky. Russia could strike Ukraine at that time. And I'm going to go with the 12%. I personally think it's a little risky, especially on a date that some folks think might turn out to be maybe a bad day in the war. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say that considering that the president will not be in the United States on February 24th, that certainly shows that nothing severe is going to be happening. Because if the Russians were starting a brand new offensive in Ukraine, they would probably want the president, or the president would probably stay in the United States so that way he could be up to date on the news coming out of the Pentagon, considering that that would be much closer to the Pentagon than Poland. And I think that largely shows the sign of confidence in the information that we've received, that nothing drastic or severe will actually be happening by that point. So with that, I hope that addresses that fairly well, and that kind of kindles the information that I've been saying, or at least a belief I have, that the Russians will actually be doing nothing major or serious, but we'll just have to wait and see as the days go by, because of course, like every single time, I can be wrong. We don't know whether I'm right or wrong, or whether anyone else is right or wrong until that day or the event passes and we see what happens. So I'm still taking the shot that I don't think anything's going to happen that's major. I don't think we'll see any Russian offensives, but I could end up being wrong. So take that with a grain of salt, but that's what I'm thinking right now. And so with that, I hope that does address that poll, and we are on to the only other one we have.
All right, and the last poll says, as of today, I just realized that typo was in there, but as of today, what is your assessment of the Russia-Ukraine war? It looks like 44% said it's a stalemate, nothing gained and or lost. 41% said Ukraine is winning, meaning they're taking ground. 7% said Russia is winning, meaning that Russia is taking ground. And 8% said unsure. And on this one, I'm definitely going to go with a stalemate. Ukraine is not taking ground, in my view. And I think they're basically at a stalemate at this point. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say they appear to be at a stalemate right now. I see everyone's getting timed out by the Nightbot, because instead of saying the president, they're saying President so-and-so. Sorry about that, everyone, but that is something we had to censor to make sure that political trolls didn't come in and like start kicking things off. Because one thing, one person saying the name of a president will kick off everything for the next 10 minutes. So the Nightbot's got to be down there and swooping in immediately. So sorry about that, because I know what y'all are saying. But anyways, answering the poll, Ukraine, it does appear to be in a stalemate as of right now. I do think that they are working towards making some successful offensives happen here in the near future, in the next couple of months. But for now, I will have to say it's starting to look more so like a stalemate than them constantly taking ground, because it's been since late November since they've taken any ground, and that was in the Kherson area. And since then, they've just been sitting on the front lines and kind of waiting it out, most likely waiting until the next offensive. But with that, I hope that does. Oh, look at that. Dolphin Hortler tried it. He tried it, and the Nightbot got it immediately. He just put in the name, and Nightbot was like, But anyways, I hope that addresses that poll fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
All right. So, Let's see here. Moving on to our first super chat, we have a $50 donation from Panama Floyd, who says, just a bit for the tech for the upcoming Day 365 show, and take one from the chat.
And thank you so much for the support, Panama Floyd, in helping us out with the podcast setup thing. I'm not going to get into the exact cost of it, but it has been way more expensive than I think Matthew or me really expected it to be. I mean, this has actually been quite a venture for us to go through, and also it's literally right here in the room. I'm looking over at it, and it's incomplete. It's not put together. There's just some giant lights and some bookshelves and stuff around. But it's all going to be coming together here in the next 2 weeks for the year anniversary of the war. So with that, thank you so much once again for supporting that and helping us to make that happen. And with that, we're going to make sure to get a live chat courtesy of Panama Floyd. Two chairs.
Yes, 2 chairs. The question goes to Razvan Flip, who says, Enforcer, do you think Romania makes an effort to help Ukraine? No news coming from there.
And who makes an effort to help Ukraine?
Romania.
We know that the Romanians have offered help to Ukraine, and we have never really heard of physical help making it. Well, they've always been talking about sending some of their aging aircraft in their fleets, like Su-25s and Su-22s, into Ukraine for them to use, but we have never seen them actually arrive. So, to answer that, I would say yes, but on the large sense, we've never seen it. So, with that, I hope that addresses that fairly well. Thank you so much once again for support, Panama Floyd. And also, Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. I saw that from Willis Daddy. I had to say it. But anyways, we're on to the next
Willis
one.
Daddy.
Yeah, it was quite a name, I would say. Quite a name. But still, thank you so much for the support, Panama Floyd. I hope we addressed that live chat fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $50 super chat from Tangan Bragiri once again, who's now known as Tangan, who says, 2,000 plus likes, everyone, please.
And 2,000 likes, please. We're at 1887 right now. A pretty interesting year in American history. And if we can get up to the year 2000 in the likes, that is, hit the like button if you want us to advance in years. Make it so. Make it happen. You can slam the like button. We're now in the year 1889. We're starting to see the, I guess you could say, years progress fairly well. We're now in 1890. 1898's a fun year because that's when the Spanish-American War will happen, and that's just kind of neat. You know what I mean? But make sure to hit the like button. We'll make it happen. Oh, we're in 1901 now. Teddy Roosevelt's the president.
Oh.
I wonder if
Bing
we
Shilling.
Bing Shilling. I forgot how to pronounce it exactly. But anyways, with that, thank you so much once again for support, Tang. And everyone, make sure to hit the like button. We're now in the Great Depression. We're in 1934. That's not fun. Can we get... Hey, we're in 1943. The United States is curb stomping the Germans and the Italians. And we're in 1948. The United Nations was just founded. I wonder if that makes hitting the like button fun. 1956. That would be when Eisenhower's president. We would be building the interstate. 1959. Kennedy's about to become the president. Let's see here. 1960. Kennedy became the president. And let's just give it a couple of minutes. I'm sure that... And Kennedy's dead. He's already dead. We've reached 1963. Man. He just got shot. Unfortunate. Now, Lyndon Johnson's becoming the president. So now I can't go off of what year the presidents are in because now it's past our political...
Is that the guy that said Jumbo?
Yeah. Oh, Jumbo. Oh. He's a... Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm doing Nixon right there. Jumbo. He's a big guy, isn't he? Look at him. Jumbo. You know, sitting there. Mr. President, what should we do about the Soviets? I don't know. Shh. But look at Jumbo. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Man, the stories of that are unbelievable. Anyways. Oh, it's 1983. We're selling... Oh, wait a minute. It's 1987. Hey, let's give it up. The Soviet Union's about to collapse. It's 1989. The Berlin Wall fell. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. 1992. Hey, Monica. Oh, sorry. I can't say that one. Lewinsky, though. But hey, it's 1996. Oh, wait a minute. That's not a good year. That's when the school thing happened out there at, you know. Anyway. Oh, it's 1997. Fun times. Fun times.
Oh.
1998. We're getting up to the whole 2K thing where the computers are going to shut down and break. It's 1999.
Oh.
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 Oh, it's about to be 2000. Oh, wait a minute.
Hey, Enforcer match here is 2000.
It's 2000. Matthew was born. It's 2001 already. The Twin Towers just happened. Now we're going over into Afghanistan. Hey, fun times. We'll be over there for the next 20 years and we won't get anything out of it. That kind of went south quick. But anyways, I hope that's been making hitting the like button a little bit fun, you know? Also, man, sad, man, sad. I hate to see him go. But you know, it's gonna happen. Anyways, with that, we are now going to be moving on to the next one. But thank you so much once again for support, Tangen. I hope you all been hitting that like button. And it's now 2005, so we've made it over 2K actually. So Tangen Bright-Gary's wish came true. So with that, thank you so much once again for support. It's very fun to hit the like. Also, it's 2012 now. The London Olympics is happening. But with that, we are on to the next. Now it's 2014. The Donbass conflict started. It's 2018. We're getting really close to the present day.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the year 2020. People are getting sick and coughing.
Oh.
But anyways, we're on to the next one. But thank you once again, Tangen.
And the next one goes to Gary Robbins, who puts in a $27 donation and says, time for Chick-fil-A. Turn the question over to the live stream.
And thank you so much for the support. And thank you for coming up with a sweet, sweet, delicious flavor of chicken filet. I call it chicken filet because it rolls off the tongue better than Chick-fil-A. And I think Matthew could agree with me. That is true.
No, I say Chick-fil-A.
I say chicken filet. I think it just works better. Throw that up as a poll, Matthew. That's a poll idea. When you say what rolls off the tongue better, Chick-fil-A or chicken filet?
Which is better, Chick-fil-A or chicken filet?
I just think chicken filet works better. And I think that poll, Matthew's word where everyone's going to pick Chick-fil-A. Oh, wait a minute. Holy moly. Oh, wait a minute. Chick-fil-A already won. All right. Well, dang. I guess I'm in a small minority there with chicken filet. The diehard enforcers will go for chicken filet. But anyways, with that kind of makes me sad. But thank you so much once again for the support for the Chick-fil-A fund. And we are also going to take that live chat as well. So with that, what do we got in the live chat?
All right, and the live chat question goes to JP's RCs, who says, do you think the Russian death toll will get lower since the Wagner group is shrinking?
No, I think it'll actually get higher because the Wagner group is being replaced by Mobic or conscript units, and they are as bad or worse off as the Wagner unit was. So the casualties will most likely increase. So with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. I hope that addresses the live chat. And thank you so much once again for the support and sponsoring that live chat. And yes, Paula McDonald, I am left-handed, so it's a ongoing mental disability kind of thing. That's why I say chicken filet. But with that, we're on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $25 super chat from Avari Mandubratis, who says, did you catch the 31-engine static fire test that SpaceX conducted with Booster 7 in Boca Chica, Texas? Wow. ASA Spaceflight and Lab Padre have good videos. Also, the USS Texas Foundation released an updated video of the repairs.
And I have not seen that. Starship Booster static fire. Let's see that happen because that's got to be impressive. So we found it on NASA Spaceflight. I'm feeling like we can't be copyrighted for something run by a government institution, so we're going to play this with the audio on and everything. So let's take a look at this. Dang. The most expensive smoke machine in the world.
That camera's pretty close to the launch.
Yeah, it is. And now they sped up the footage. I mean, you see it standing there still. The Starship project is massive. This is the biggest rocket in the world in terms of the thrust. Everything about it is massive. And when you see the tarmac getting whipped up as we speak, the little particles flying around. Gosh, that is impressive. And he said 30 or 31 Raptor engines. Imagine watching that thing take off with a Starship on top of it. That's going to be impressive.
let's see. DF said, why do they not have the water deluge system running? I was wondering that too. It's like, where's the cooling at?
They just keep on showing the smoke cloud from different angles. Like, you can hardly see anything. Oh, and look, there's the starship right over there. You can see one outside of its bay. So just imagine the starship on top of the booster, and you'll get the idea of how tall this thing will really be. Man, that is just crazy. I don't know about y'all, but I think that's something impressive. And now they hit us with the copyright music at the end. They got merch!
Oh, wait a minute. This is NASAspaceflight.com. This is like some kind of YouTube channel. This isn't actually like NASA.
Oh, it isn't.
Oh.
It isn't. I thought
Still
it was
works.
NASA.
Still said it's not the government, lols.
Oh, man. All right. Well, anyways, still impressive. And I think that that is something neat for sure. I think that hopefully Starship program does come to fruition, because it's going to be the largest load-carrying rocket in the world. It can carry more payload than anything before it. I believe it can carry 3 times the amount a space shuttle could in a single launch. And it's an impressive system, at least by what is advertised. We haven't actually seen the whole thing in operation yet. We haven't even seen the orbital test. But to all of the people who are working at SpaceX right now that are watching the stream, because I know y'all are watching it, y'all have fun out there at Boca Chica working on that thing, because y'all are doing some impressive work, and hopefully that thing actually has its orbital test here in the future. So with that, thank you so much for the support of Ari. I didn't see it, but I thank you so much for allowing me to show it. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And also, Chick-fil-A did win the poll, the normal spelling of it. So, there you go.
Oh, well,
Right.
I guess it is what it is. But with that, we're on to the next one.
And with that, we're on to our next one, which goes to Santiago Flores, who puts in a $20 donation and says, good evening. I'm very intrigued with the weapons loads of the Ukraine Su-25 and Helos. The majority of the load is rockets. They use the TOSS system, and the Israelis have tossed bombs. Any thoughts? And cheers.
And thank you for the support, Santiago. Sadly, I can't really comment a lot on the TOSS theory, but one thing we do know is that the Russians shifted most of their doctrine, and also the Ukrainians, we could assume, have started to move away from this. Back in the 60s, the Soviets shifted their air doctrine from precision strikes with aircraft to general area strikes, like lobbing the bomb, like you're talking about, where you pull up and you drop the bomb as you're pulling up, and that gives it a forward momentum where it pretty much flings it like a slingshot forward through the sky and then to its target a good while away, which greatly impedes the accuracy of the bombs. But the idea was that the Russian pilots wouldn't have to worry about bombing precisely too much, because they're dropping tactical nuclear weapons, and you don't have to be that accurate with those because the blast radius is fairly big. So that is the reason why the Russians do a decent amount of lobbing with the rockets, also with bombs. We've seen, I believe, one instance in this whole war of them actually using bombs that way. But that's the main reason why they do that. Is largely to prevent ground fire from killing them, and also to stay out of the blast radius of a tactical nuke, because their pilots probably lack the skill to conduct precise strikes. The Ukrainians, however, they lob them just to stay away from ground fire, and we have seen a couple of them actually conduct precise strikes, although that's been incredibly rare. Most of them do the lobbing tactic with the rockets, or I haven't actually seen any Ukrainians do it with bombs. It's just rockets. So with that, I hope that addresses that the best I can. And thank you so much once again for the support, Santiago. You are always helping this channel to keep on running, and we thank you so much for doing that. And so with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you once again.
All right, and the next one goes to Marion Deemert, who puts in a $20 donation, along with Tengen, who puts in another 20 as well. And thank you both, Tengen and Marion, very much for that support.
Oh, bless you.
Excuse me. Almost, well, I won't say that, but thank you, Tengen and Marion, so very much. And Enforcer, what say you?
And I've got to say to both of y'all, Tengen and Marion Deemer, thank y'all both so much for the support. Y'all didn't throw in comments on those, but of course, we recognize every single bit of support that comes in to help this channel, and y'all are definitely helping for this channel to keep on running. And so with that, Thank you all so much once again. I hope that addresses both of you all fairly well. And we're on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Justice Ryan, who says, when are the Patriot missile batteries going to be ready in Ukraine? And again, great work.
And thank you so much for the commendation, Justice Ryan. We will take the medal gladly. But to answer that question, it's at least a month or two out before we'll see the Patriots inside of Ukraine, but we've never got an exact timetable on when their training will conclude and when the shipment will finally be complete to Ukraine. I'm sure they're not going to be shipped via DHL, so we can expect it to be somewhat slow. It may be on FedEx, and FedEx is no one you can rely on. Not trying to like bash their company or anything, but I've never gotten a package from FedEx on time. So with that, I hope that answers that fairly well. Thank you so much once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. And also hi to you, Stillworks Films. That's all I said hi. So hi to you.
Hello.
Up next, we have a $20 super chat from Nettles Cat, who says, I love the rabbit holes. Don't change for no body. LSA.
And thank you so much for the support. I'm glad that you do enjoy the rabbit holes. Some people love the rabbit holes. Some people hate the rabbit holes. We've largely started moving away from them again because, you know, we're trying to cut it out and make sure it's all Ukraine focused for the large part. And it seems as though people are enjoying that. But we do like to throw in rabbit holes during the question segment because that's what it's for. And then we still get people whining in the question segment every once in a while. Because then they go, oh, come on, man, get to the news. Like we have news to still cover, although it's all been covered before. But still, thank you so much for the support. We will keep doing us. And you keep doing you. And thank you so much once again for helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and our next one goes to Landlubber, who puts in a 20 and says simply, camera fund.
And thank you, Landlubber, for the camera fund. You are going to help us get those cameras and run them well. We actually had cameras beforehand, and this is why it seems incredibly expensive right now. We had 2 other cameras earlier on, because we've been working on this behind the scenes for nearly 2 months now, and we set them up and they both overheated within minutes of running live in our test run. So we had to take those. We're returning them right now, so we should get a refund on those. And we're having to get new higher-end cameras, but I haven't been refunded yet for the first cameras, and we already bought the second ones. So we're like double dipping on the overall price of cameras right now. And that's what's like made me like, dang, this is freaking expensive, because when you look at everything and it hasn't been refunded yet at all, it's like, holy moly, it's equaled up to a load. But still, thank you so much once again, Landlubber, to the support to the camera fund, and hopefully the new cameras will come in and they'll work just fine and be at a very high quality. So with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you once again for the support.
And also, Hokie is right. That switch box is very expensive. Expensive little piece of switch right there. But anyways, up next we have James McDaniel said red cameras. I saw somebody else say that too. We do not have the budget for $10,000 cameras, because we need 3 of them, so that'd be $30K. Definitely don't have the budget for that.
We don't have the budget for that. That's buying a brand new car, and dang, I feel like that's something that Colin and Samir would have, or the red cameras. I bet you they do.
Yeah, I think they actually use red cameras, or at least they rent them, I believe.
Whatever they do, their interviews always look crisp as hell. I mean, like, I don't know if you've watched a lot of them, but like you can almost like feel like you're there in person with how clear the quality is.
Yeah, it's very, very good quality videos.
And also, Philip said, please use the hell out of your new studio. We actually have plans for this really just to be the only one-off use of it. It's going to be made, we're going to run it, and then we're probably going to end up not using it again. But we don't know. Well, I don't know.
I thought we were going to use it a whole bunch, but, you know, I personally want the podcast to go on for a permanent thing.
Well, here's the thing. I'll explain to y'all a little bit of what's been going on behind the scenes with this being right now assumed to be a one-time thing, is that this stream in college right now eats up all of my time. So the only time I have breaks to just sit around and rest are in the morning on Saturday and then the afternoon on Monday. So I really only get, I think I tried to measure it out one time, like 6 or 7 hours of rest a week in between doing everything else. So if I threw in this podcast and it was an entire separate thing and I kept the stream schedule up the way it is right now and then added that onto it, I would get no rest time at all. Every single day of my week, every single week would have no rest. I would be constantly working from when I woke up to when I went to sleep on college work, going to college, getting back from college, running the stream, and then running the podcast. So that's why it kind of became a one-off thing that we're only doing once. The only way I could go and make this happen as a continuous thing is if we probably knocked off a day of our normal Ukraine war stream and then made one of those nights a podcast night at some point in the week. So if y'all were fine with that, we could probably do that. If y'all weren't fine with that, it will probably just end up being a one-time thing. But I guess y'all just have to see how well it goes when it's live, and if y'all like it, and if y'all like it enough, we may just make a normal news segment once a week where we're on camera. And then if y'all like that a whole load, we may eventually start switching over to that format where I'm still covering the news like this, but we have a lot of live reaction involved in it too. But, you know, that kind of breaks away from what the show was originally about, which isn't about our reactions and watching us on camera react to stuff. It's more so about the news itself. But anyways, we're on.
I'm still not really sure, like, how we're going to swing it on the Day 365 podcast, because I'm sure I'm going to be swamped, because we have to come up with some way to fairly run the, I guess you can call it a raffle for the flag and the plane. And I'm sure, like, I know how busy I am on Sundays right now, and I'm sure this will be insane on Day 365. So we'll have to see. Hopefully I can add input in. It's not just the enforcer talking the entire time, but we'll have to see.
It might just be me talking the entire time. You might be over there like that blind Andorian on Star Trek Enterprise, you know, like in that little like helmet thing with the little things on his fingers, you know, controlling the ship. You might be like that night. I mean, like, that might be what you end up doing. We'll have to. Well, I guess we'll just have to play that by ear, like when we actually get to it. And also, by the way, I want to throw this out there too. We currently have a Lee Spring Army flag competition going on our Discord server, the brand new one that you can join in the link in the description below on the stream. And I've seen a very cool amount of interest, but from like 2 or 3 people. Netters HD is throwing in like 1 million of them, and I just want y'all to know that competition is a thing, and if you end up winning it, because I want as many people to throw in as many designs as possible, because right now Nutters has the odds stacked against everyone else. He's probably going to be the one winning the competition and getting a flag. So make sure to throw in some designs so that way we can actually have a large slew of people to pick from, and also a whole bunch of cool designs, because, you know, the more we have, the better off it is. But right now, Nutters is way ahead. The designs are looking really good. We are probably going to end up picking one of his, but make sure to go on the Discord and get involved. Come up with any design. We have parameters for it. Just make sure to read the parameters and then go to town. But with that,
yeah, hopefully we get a load of submissions. But also, I saw Aaron Lowe say do a practice run. And also, Aaron, we're going to do a load of practice runs as well, so we don't have a load of problems on the stream. So hopefully we'll have a load of viewers as well. But anyways, what were you going to say, Enforcer?
That was it. I was actually about to move on into the next one. So with that, we're on to the next one. But thank you once again for the support, and I hope we address your comment fairly well.
All right. And let's see here. Our next one goes to, let's see, DC Williams, who puts in a 50 and says, "You all provided me one of the best recent laughs I've had when I saw that multiple Darwin Awards awarded. I wish you all the best." Say that 3 times, eh?
I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. Sim Salabim. So with that, thank you so much once again for the support, DC Williams. And I'm glad that we were able to get you a pretty good laugh. I'm always trying to make sure that we have some good jokes in here every once in a while. Some of them are corny, but that's like the whole point. And hopefully y'all get that. We're not being corny and acting like that's the peak of comedy. It's corny because it's, you know, funny because it is corny. But still, I'm glad that you did enjoy that, DC Williams. I'm glad you got a good laugh out of it. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running, so that way we can keep on trying to make a good laugh here and there. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
And yes, and thank you, DC. And also, I saw what you said in the live chat about please go to law school. I actually paid my deposits today for my seat in the fall. So I am definitely going to law school, and I'm dead set on it. So definitely going, but very good advice. And also, thank you for the support once again. And also, I see everybody got a big like crack out of me saying "load" so many times, but I don't know what's so funny about that, honestly. But let's see. Psyop said, "Oh, all right. Well, we're gonna move on to the next one. The next one goes to Psyops, who puts in a $20 donation and says, "I learned a good saying today. Give a man a match, and he will start a fire and be warm for a night. Use the match and light the man on fire, and he'll be warm for the rest of his life."
Oh my god!
It seems the Russian tankers also know this.
Oh, oh no, that is brutal, but for some reason that is funny. I'm going to say that is pretty funny. That's funny, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. What did you bring me on this show for? Wait, what was the name of that guy on that Joker movie? You know, the one where you brought him.
Call him out. Call him out.
Call him out. Call him out. He was played by Robert De Niro.
Wait a minute. Say that one more time. Who?
It was the movie Joker, and it was the guy who was running the talk show. He was played by Robert De Niro, but I forgot his name in the show.
Al Pacino?
No, why in the world do you always revert to Al Pacino with Italian people, man? It's always Al Pacino.
Are you talking about Jerry Seinfeld?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Listen to this guy. Oh my. Get him out of here. But anyways, I thank you so much once again for the support. That was a funny joke. I gotta give it to you, Sibes. That was a funny one. And thank you so much once again for the support and also throwing in a joke I'll add to my repertoire later on. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have another $20 super chat from Psyops. He says, let's see. That super chat I just read off from him was the one he said to look out for, and if it was too spicy, get one from the live chat. So I thought it was the second one, but it was that first one. But anyways, the safe one says, "Did you know that you can help Ukraine? It's easy. Just write your local politician and tell them where to..." Wait a minute, I think this is the bad one. He says, "Put it in Russia's face by supporting Ukraine, and Texas stinks."
Man, you've navigated his way through another minefield, and I gotta thank you so much for the support, Psyops, and I hope that y'all all stick it to the Russians. Stick to the Russians any way you can. Put it on a stick and stick it in Putin's eye. Stick it in his nose. Anywhere. But still, thank you so much once again for the support, Psyops. I hope we addressed that fairly well, and thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Applesauce Man, who puts in a $20 donation. It says, "Hey Enforcer, I wanted to ask, what type of 03 Springfield do you have? I just picked up a 1920 dated 03 made by Springfield."
So mine is a Remington 1903, based off of the original pattern, which is very bizarre because there weren't really many Remington 1903s made like mine. And Matthew can tell you it's built different. It kind of looks like that one, but it's unbelievable. Y'all would have to see it. The wood is of a brighter color. It's more of a orangish color, kind of like this one. And it's got this like shellac like sheen on it that I've never seen before. No one's ever seen it before, and it really blows everyone away whenever I show it off because it's such a clean looking 1903 to have been made in 1943. And that's what's even weirder about it. I trace back the serial number and its production batch, and its batch was made in the middle of the Second World War in 1943. We have no idea how it survived till the present day and the condition it's in. The barrel was immaculate. The barrel had practically never been fired, was shot with before. It was a completely unfired 1903 from 1943, made by Remington off of the original 1903 pattern. It was not a 1903 A3 or an A4. It was just your normal 1903. And that's what's just bizarre about the thing. But that is my 1903, a little bit about it. And if I grab it, and make sure not to touch the metal because I have this huge thing about never touching the metal on any of my rifles. Its serial number is, and I better not read that off actually.
Yeah, don't read that off.
Yeah. Now I can't say anything because that was going to be the
Why
plan.
are you going to read off the serial number?
Well, because you can trace back its batch number, and someone who probably knows a little bit more than me about tracing down batch numbers and stuff could probably find out a little bit more information about it and what it was actually used for. But now that I think about it,
They can probably trace your number down too.
yeah, I was like, it's probably not a good idea to share that serial number when I started thinking about that. And also, Hokey Redneck said it's pre-World War II. It is not. I can promise you that because I went and traced it back. It was made in 1943. That would have been the same year that we invaded Sicily and started the fight inside of Italy. So it's just weird. It's just so weird. I really don't know how to explain it beyond that. It's just so weird. We don't really have any idea of why it's like that. And let me put that back there and turn it back towards the mic. But it is. So with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. Also, Average Joe said loads of cosmically. I'm not just talking about the metal. I'm talking about the wood itself. Matthew can tell you, for a 70-year-old gun, it looks untouched. It looks like it's brand new.
Yeah, it's true.
And so we have no idea how it got to the present day like that, because usually a 1903, and let me see if I can find one, kind of looks like this. You can see it has some nicks, maybe a little imperfection here and there. This one has none of that. Like, it's like, what the hell? Where in the world did this thing go? It's like it went into a black hole and just reappeared in the modern day. But anyways, with that, also, wait a minute. And you see, it has like almost the exact same, well, it has the exact same print up here. Serial number's different on that one. But still, with that, we are on to the next one, and I hope we addressed that comment fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right. And real quick, just finishing up a little poll right there. But up next, we have a $15 super chat from Avari Mandubratis, who says, I need an improv skit. Maybe put Sam Elliott as at a Whataburger drive-thru operator. And I don't know, Orange Man, Bernie, some Scots guy, whomever, as sovereign citizens, by my straw man. I am drunk. And I have to say, Avari, thank you very much for the support. And I do believe you are drunk, I have to say.
And I would have to agree with Matthew. I'd have to second that opinion. I'm not a doctor or anything, but it sounds like you may be lost in the sauce. But we'll make sure to entertain you while you're lost in the sauce. I hope you're eating pretzels. What was the prompt again? Where were they? And what were they all doing?
Sam Elliott is working at Whataburger at the drive-thru, and Orange Man and Bernie and some Scots guy apparently pulls up, and they're sovereign citizens, and apparently something went down, and they got into it.
Oh, okay, all right. So, man, this night shift is getting really tiresome. I tell you what. Ding ding. Oh shit. Hello, welcome to Whataburger. What can I get for you tonight? Yes, I would like oil on the road, oil on the...
Man, I don't know about that.
Oh, man. You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dang it. I'm trying to think of a Scottish accent that works. Hang on, everyone. Hang on. I got to think this one out. What would you like at Whataburger? Yes, I'd like to get my guy, brother. Make sure that he gets a cup of water. All right, man. All right, just be quiet back there, chill. I'm a huge fan of the Scottish people. I have a golf course up there. But you gotta calm down back there in the back seat. We need a brand new wealth distribution program in this country. While we ban Miria. I don't know why. Oh, that's why. Okay.
They want to evenly distribute the ketchup. We want to put the ketchup with the mustard, not separate.
We need to break down the barriers in this country. The beef needs to go with the lamb. The ketchup needs to go with the mustard. Everything needs to be with everyone. Okay, just hang on a minute. Just stop a minute. Okay, brother, have you taken my order yet? Just calm down. Just stop that back there. The accents are mixing together. These are really hard to do. Separate from each other. I just want a hamburger. What, you're not going to get one from me? What are you talking about? Okay, you ordered my ketchup yet? Shut up back there. All right. Listen, Sam. Yeah, I'm still... I can't do them all. Like, this is so hard. For some reason, this is like gymnastics right here. But anyways, I don't even think I can get through the skit. I got to be honest with you, Avari. Those are like the 4 hardest voices to do. But you got to go from the Scottish one immediately into Bernie. Bernie doesn't work. Like, for some reason, switching from Trump to Bernie or anything to Bernie, like, doesn't work. Man, I gotta tell you, that's just the toughest one ever. But I thank you so much for the support, Ari. I hope you enjoyed the small part that I was able to put together. And so with that, we're on to the next one. It looks like all of y'all enjoyed that, but I don't even know how, because I was like really thinking y'all were hating it. But with that, we're on to the next one. Thank you once again for the support of Ari, and I hope that that was funny in one way or another.
Yes, indeed. I hope it was. And thank you for the support. And also, real quick, I'm trying to make a poll. What is the name for that Uran? Like, what's the numbers?
Like the serial number?
No, like, what's the model name? Is it just called a Garand, or is it called something like, is there other stuff to go with it?
The M1, are you talking about the 1903 or the M1 Garand?
Oh, that's right, M1 Garand. There we go. All right. There we go. Just need to put that poll up real quick. But now we got that taken care of. I'm going to go ahead and put my vote in. So up next, we have a $20 super chat from Jesus USCB, who says, I love your channel. Oh, and Viva Mexico and Slava Ukraini. Tanker Vet here. Hashtag NAFO.
And thank you so much for the support, Jesus UCSB. And also, thank you for enjoying the channel. I'm glad to know that you enjoy the channel as well. And thank you so much for supporting us and helping us to keep this thing rolling. Because if it wasn't for folks like you, we wouldn't be able to keep this thing rolling, and the lights wouldn't be on. The lights being on are very important because the lights aren't on, the electricity's off, and the computers don't run. But moving on from that, Viva Mexico and Slava Ukraini. And also, we'll make sure, oh, wait a minute, there's no take it from the live chat. For some reason, I, like, got, like, Pavlov there, like, for some reason, thought we were about to take it to the live chat. But, a Tanker Vet, what tank did you drive, Jesus? I'm wondering. But with that, thank you. That sounded so weird. I know, like, I really paused there after I said that. I was like, that sounds so weird. What tank did you drive, Jesus? It's like, but anyways, thank you so much once again for the support. NAFO all the way. And with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you once again for the support.
All right, and up next, we have a $15 super chat once again from Avari Mandibratis. He says, is it better to build battalions of homogeneous equipment or heterogeneous equipment? For instance, would it make sense to have a Corps of Abrams and T-64 tanks with M3s plus BMP-3s? What say you? And hell no, Avari's not drunk. You can't type all that if you're drunk.
Avari is just pretending to be drunk. But to answer that question, a homogeneous unit is much better to have than a heterogeneous unit. You want everything to be uniform and the exact same within a unit. Because if you have T-64s, T-80s, T-72s, Abrams, and Leopards all mixed into one unit, you have to get supplies for all, well, you have to get parts for all those tanks, and you have to have mechanics that are trained on how to operate each one. And that's going to get way too complicated. It's going to be incredibly inefficient. So you want a unit with nothing but M1 mechanics working on M1 Abrams. You want nothing but M1 tankers. You want nothing but M1 parts. And that's how you want to operate every single unit. You can't have units using like a hodgepodge of crap because a lot of that will end up breaking down. They either won't have the parts or the mechanics to maintain those vehicles, and then they start losing combat effectiveness right out of the bat. So I would say that is definitely the best thing to do, is to make them a homogeneous unit instead of a heterogeneous. So with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And thank you so much once again, Avari, for the support. And a very interesting question. And that's just my opinion. It is the most efficient thing to do, but you can operate a heterogeneous unit if you have the skill. But it's going to be incredibly, way more difficult than a homogeneous unit. But with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Jesus USCB once again, who says, lols, I was in Vilsec, Germany, M1A1 Abrams tanks.
Vilsec, Germany. Let's go to Vilsec. Ah, look, it's the Vilsec. And here is the Vilsec army base. To the front day and night. And look, here's the tank. Wow, this is a giant tank course.
Wow.
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 Nice.
Wow. Dude, turn into Owen Wilson. Wow. Poppenberg.
Hey.
I like it when you call me Big Poppenberg. But anyways, this is really cool. I actually didn't know there was a giant tank base down here. And oh, look, the reloading point. I guess this is the only part of the base where you can reload.
They have a little tree down there marking the spot.
The old reloading point. It's got one review. A very fun and relaxing stay at what I consider to be a child-friendly playground. Happy to come back.
Oh
the
my
only thing that
gosh.
bothered us was the constant shelling of the helicopters. And then you have the German down here, which Matthew can quickly butcher for us so graciously.
Einser und Speidler.
Einser Speiser und entspannender Aufenthalt auf diesem wie ich finde keine freundlichen Spielplatz. I don't know if I'm making that sound good at all.
No,
it's probably terrible.
They're both equally bad.
They're terrible. The Germans in the chat are about to go insane. You're slaughtering my beautiful language. But anyways, with that, very cool to hear that you were actually here. And let's drop down. I know that the privacy laws will probably stop us from doing this. Oh no, wait a minute. There is something in the middle of the town. Let's take a look. It's a store. Yeah, it's a store. I knew it.
Ah, Vodafone.
Vodafone. Power to you and your people. And the little kids' chairs, too. Neat.
Man, this store is looks like somebody's house that was converted into a store.
Yeah, it kind of does. It probably is someone's house that was converted into a store. The second floor is probably where they live. Let's go down here into the center of the town. I want to see what the street looks like. Very nice. Yeah, very, very nice. It looks like the rat house. It's the house for rats. I like
Is that
this
where
town.
Putin stays, in the rat house?
Man, when you get thrown out by your wife in Germany, you don't go to the dog house, you go to the rat house.
Just opens the door to the rat house. Oh, welcome back. Good to see you again.
No, man, when you open up the doors to the rat house, the song that's playing inside is Rats, Rats, we're the rats. We pray.
Or that other song. I'm the giant rat. Wait, that's the same song.
Yeah, that's the same
part.
one, yeah. And someone's about to say we're incredibly rude or something. We're just having fun. We make fun of Americans equally whenever we get around to it. But also, I like this. I don't like this is a clock tower and it's just in the middle of the street. You can drive through it.
Ah, it's a drive-through
Drive-through clock
bell.
tower. Get yourself like a little ding on your dong inside the clock tower as you drive through. That's a Taco Bell saying. That's not what y'all think it is. But anyways, I like this town, and also really cool to know that you were a tanker here right outside of it, just in the base north of it. That is also as big as the town itself. But with that,
You know, when you said it's not what you think it is, it made me think of that YouTube channel that is called "It's Not What You Think."
Ah.
He says, and it's not what you think.
Oh man.
Pretty good YouTube channel, by the way. I'm not making fun of him. It's just he has a funny accent.
Yeah, I remember who you're talking about. Also, Evelina DeCalvo said dummy and Forza. We're just making fun of him. It's not like we actually think that. It is the town hall. I know that. But you got to make fun of it from an American perspective because it says rat house. Like, it's funny. Anyways, with that, we're on to the next one. And thank you once again for the support and sharing where you were a tanker with us.
Call him out. Call him out.
Call him out.
All right. And with that, we're calling out the next super chat, which goes to CK Bold, who puts in a $15 donation and says, take a live chat question. Balloon is Rover.
Am I supposed to be activated with that phrase? Like, Mr. Dalian, Mr. Dalian, we've been activated.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support, though. And due to me being activated, I'm going to have to go into Matthew's room and steal one of his shoes that he has behind the desk. He's got like this pair of fake Yeezys. But they're real. They're real Yeezys. I'm not going to offend Matthew like that. I got to correct that. But anyways, let's get to the live chat. And also, thank you once again for the support.
All right. And up next, we have a live chat question. And the live chat question goes to Marichka, who says, I have a question. Why Air Defense of Moldova and Air Defense of Romania didn't react to the Pinecone Kingdom missile?
Great question. Probably because it was made out of pine cones that didn't have a large enough radar signature, but they did hear it flying over because it made that whistling sound that kind of like the whooshing sound a pine cone makes when it flies through the air to the ground. So with that, I thank you so much for the support. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we're on to the next one. And I hope we answered that live chat fairly well.
All right. And up next, we have a $15 super chat from Cindy Mitchell, who says, my Igor is on its way, and in orange. Send to the chat.
And thank you for the support, Igor! And let's take a live chat. And thank you once again for the support, Cindy Mitchell. And so with that, what do we got, Matthew?
And the live chat goes to Reed Jr., who says, are the Patriots deployed yet in Ukraine?
No, it's going to be another month or two until we see those deployed. So sadly, not yet. So I hope I answered that question fairly well. I hate whenever live chats are so open and shut. It's like a yes or no answer because I feel like I'm really copping out on giving an answer. But that's about the best one we could give it. But with that, thank you once again. I hope we answered that live chat fairly well, and thank you for sponsoring it, Cindy. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Banana Boat 30 Plus, who says, or who puts in a $15 donation and says, "Hey fellas, have you seen the amount of tanks Russia has lost in this war so far? It kind of shows why they are sending Leo 1s to Ukraine. Leo 2s are relative overkill compared to what Russia currently has."
And thank you for the support. And yes, we have seen how many tanks they've lost. It's been quite excessive. The Leopard 2s are not that overkill. They'll actually be fairly good. You always want extreme overkill. That's what you really want in any kind of war, is extreme overkill over your opponent. Anything that puts them at a severe disadvantage is what you really want. The Leopard 1s are probably putting the Ukrainians on par or a little over the Russians, but the Leopard 2 is really what they want. The reason why they're getting a lot of Leopard 1s, though, is because a lot of them are in storage. They're very cheap. They can be given away for pennies, and they don't end up giving anyone a disadvantage and end up helping the Ukrainians regardless. So it's a win-win for everyone to give them a Leopard 1. Leopard 2s, kind of, sort of, not really, because they end up costing a little bit because they're fairly new and the government hasn't, well, most governments haven't even gotten the mileage out of the Leopard 2s that they wanted to, even while they're sending some of their older ones. The Germans are sending brand new ones, though. And so with that, I thank you for the support.
Always buy your Leopards with low miles and certified.
Yes, I would agree with Matthew. Make sure to get low mileage Leopards that are certified. Also, make sure that you do your Cougars the same. But with that, we're on to the next one. Thank you for the support.
Oh my God. Up next, we have a $10 super chat from Trevor Ozel, who says, "You fellas have been awesome. Still show your stream at barbershop every day." I cannot believe you made that joke. That was not PG.
It was just, it had to happen. It was the natural evolution of that statement. But still, thank you for the support. It's good to know that this plays at the barbershop every day. And I hope that your customers, if they are there right now, got a laugh out of that joke. So that we are on to the next one. And thank you once again for the support. I'm getting a kick out of live chat now. It's like, what?
Yeah. They're in shock.
Not in shock, but
well, anyways, up next we have a $10 super chat from Frenetic Watt, who does not leave a comment. But thank you very much, Frenetic, for the support, and we appreciate it very much. And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Mac15, who puts in a 10 and says, "Good luck on the 224 fundraiser," and take a question from the chat.
And thank you so much for congratulating us on the fundraiser. I feel like the credit to the fundraiser should go entirely to pretty much the entirety of the Lee Spring Army, because while we run them and we rally everyone around them, without the Lee Spring Army support, the fundraisers would never be possible. So I never want to take credit for the fundraisers. I always throw that down to the Lee Spring Army for their credit. But also, thank you so much once again for the support. And did he want a live chat question?
Yes. Mech did. And also, to your joke earlier, it's not what you think.
Wait a minute, Mandy. Hang on. Wait a minute. That SpongeBob guy with the lollipop. One second. Let me go find him. SpongeBob. Guy with the lollipop. I gotta find the meme. 1 second, Matthew. I can explain. You remember that?
Yeah, what was this guy doing exactly? Like, are we supposed to like just turn a blind eye to this?
I don't know. It's a little odd if you ask me. A little suspicious. And then he did it even on a ski slope. I think this guy's got a problem. But with that, we're on to the next one. And thank you. I don't even think we got to the next one though, did we?
Well, the live chat question goes to Edu. He says, "Does it seem like we're in a build-up to World War III?"
A build up to World War III. I don't know. I feel like we're really not, because we've been keeping it fairly calm for now. So with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
I disagree with the Enforcer. I think, personally, I think we are in the build-up to World War III, but it's not going to happen like tomorrow, but it might happen in the next few years. But anyways, Up next, we have a $10 super chat from Chip Kerwan, who says, one commentator review a dozen or so abandoned orc tanks and noted many had no significant damage. The Ukrainians could repair the dislodged tank tracks and hit right around back at the Russians.
And that is a good point. That is also something we started to notice as well, is that most Russian tanks that are abandoned have superficial damage at this point in the war, and they may not actually be losing them, and more so is that they're abandoning them, and the Ukrainians could easily take them, refit them, and then use them right back against the Russians. So with that, I thank you so much for the support, and I hope we addressed that fairly well, and we're on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Avari Mandabronis, who says, will you two now include your faces in some aspects of your live streams to utilize your new investment in odd/vid capabilities, maybe during intro and live chats?
That is an interesting idea, and we've been thinking about doing something like that a little bit, but the thing is that, you know, and this, I'll be unfiltered with y'all and tell y'all, like, our concerns with it. One is that sometimes Matthew or me or both of us are exhausted one night, and while we can keep enthusiasm going through the audio, if we were on video, you would see that we are, like, sometimes, like, my head is in my hand, well, my hand is on my head, and I'm, like, leaning it down for a second because I'm, like, about to pass out over here, or something like that, so we're kind of concerned.
But it's not what you think.
It's not what you think. It's not what you think. But we're kind of concerned that sometimes the energy that we want to carry wouldn't really be carried over well on camera. And another thing is that it's going to be really hard, and we're going to have to throw even more money, probably several $1,000s again into this, for me to get a computer like a laptop where I can work it at that set, because my desktop's still going to be on its own separate desk on the other side of the room. The set's going to be over there, and that will pose some really big problems unless if I wanted to go get a laptop too, and you know, it's going to be fairly difficult to run at that point. But still, a fairly neat idea, and we may make that just a separate show on its own. I think it would be really cool. But we'll just have to wait and see. So with that, thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And Laura Carr probably put in the best description of this channel so far that I've seen. This is simultaneously the most juvenile, the most sophisticated, and the funniest channel on YouTube. Never change, y'all. Now, I'm not going to say we're the funniest, because I have seen some funny guys out there. But I would say that we are definitely incredibly juvenile, and we also try and be sophisticated at the same time. And I don't think people can get that you can have a mix of the two. You can be incredibly juvenile and just make fun of anything, and at the same time, you can have a good idea of what you're talking about and talk about it well. You don't really have to have one or the other. You can have them both, and I think that a lot of people have enjoyed that about the channel, and hopefully that is hitting it on the nail, because I feel like that's hitting it on the nail as to how this channel kind of works. But with that, we are on to the next one, and I thank you for bringing that up, because I thought that was a pretty good description. I don't know what Matthew thinks about it, though.
I think that is a pretty good description. And also, just to clarify something, apparently didn't come across in the text. Hoagie said, Matt looks 15. I said, aren't you 11? With the eyeballs looking to the left. That was supposed to be a joke.
It was a prank, bro. It was a prank.
It's not what you think. But Hoagie, that was supposed to be a joke. So it looks like a few people took that the wrong way. That was just a joke. But anyways, let's see here. Up next, we have a $10 super chat from Mountain Girl RC, who says, hi, Enforcer and Enforcer Matt. I'm from Hornsby, NSW. Have you ever thought about doing the Kokoda Trail in Papua New Guinea?
That would be interesting. I would have to look over it a little bit more to see if we could, but we could always do one in the future if possible. So I'll consider that and see about possibly doing it. Also, it really bothers me how the border in between Papua New Guinea and the rest of pretty much Papua New Guinea that's controlled by, I believe, Indonesia, if I'm correct. It's a perfectly straight line down the island until we get to here, and then for some reason, it follows the river, and then it just goes into a straight line again. Why? Why did they do that? Why not just draw the straight line? That's so stupid. I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in terms of making a border, is either it's a straight line, or it's not, and it's following, like, natural geography. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Whoever made this border needs to be shot for this here, because this needs to be a straight line right through here. Because what does it matter? But anyways, moving on from that and down into Hornsby, which has some really nice pictures. It is way inside of Sydney. It's like a suburb of Sydney, and it sounds like the company Hornby that makes model trains in Britain. But speaking of train, they have a train, and they have some pretty nice stores.
Booze.
That sounded wrong. Actually, when we both said that, I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Chinese New Year. What? Are you arresting me for enjoying a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Get your hands on
it. Wait, don't say it. Oh, man.
Oh, big kegs.
I think those are actually boilers.
Oh, well, they can boil the alcohol, too.
And I like this place. This is a really cool looking place. You know, now I don't think you can walk into that store. I think you're going to be like running into a brick wall if you try and go in there, and the guys selling books in there are going to be like talking to a brick wall. But you know, you could give it a try. Nice.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. It's not what you think. Also interesting, Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing going on here. Ye be warned. There was no piracy though in Australia. I think like it was like so far away from everything else, there wasn't really a room for piracy. But
oh, everybody's got some piracy. Oh, look at that old... Is that a Murcielago? I think that's a Murcielago.
And a P... No, that's not a P-36, I don't think. That's an Australian, like, express steam locomotive, though. Really cool looking. But, man, Hornsby's got it going on. Star. That's a hospital.
Is that a hospital?
Wow, that's a crazy-looking hospital.
You'll be seeing stars.
It's only going to hurt for just a moment. Pulls out the lobotomizer. No, don't do it. But let's see here. I like this place, honestly. Like from these pictures, it looks really nice. Now, it's got to pass the road test. If we drop it down on a road, it doesn't look good. Oh, wow. I'm actually impressed. It looks quite nice.
It's pretty nice.
Just the weeds growing in the middle of the street, like that's the only thing I could say is a knock against it. But then again, that's like a small knock. It looks like a really nice place.
A little roundup, and that'll take care of it.
Yeah, just a little roundup, you know. And then you find out that everyone in your family got cancer over multiple years from exposure to it. But anyways, emergency ambulance as opposed to the casual ambulance. But anyways, I like this place. This is a really nice place, and good to know that we have Australian viewers all the way from Hornsby. We actually had a viewer, I'm not going to name him, but we actually had a viewer say that we said something disparaging about Australia a while ago. And I was like sitting there when I heard that and I saw that, I was like, what? We've never said anything bad about Australia. I think it's a cool country. But with that, thank you so much for the support. I hope we answered that fairly well, and we are on to the next one. Also, Matthew, how many do we have left?
It looks like we have about
50.
50, 60, about 25.
Okay, you scared me when you went 50, 60. I was like, really?
I was trying to do math.
Oh, but all right. So with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Craig Platel, who puts in a $10 donation and says, target drones or test vehicle are usually orange. Target drones can be expensive. U.S. target drones can be over $100K. Plus old F-16s are used. Navy is converting HARMs as target drones, $800,000 each.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And I thank you for the support and sharing that with us. And I'm fairly sure, now knowing that information, the Russians can't afford to use a lot of those as target drones because they hardly have a budget. So with that, thank you for sharing that info with us and supporting this channel. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Laura Carr, who does not leave a comment. But Laura, thank you very much for that support, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you for keeping the lights on, because like the enforcer mentioned, the lights are only kept on by the electricity, obviously. But thank you very much. Up next, we have a $10 super chat from Craig Platel, who says, first day of air war in DS/DS, the U.S. did fire Tomahawks over Iran. At the time, Tomahawk terrain guidance needed change in elevation and terrain to follow the preset course approved by President Bush.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. And I do thank you for the support and sharing that with us, because that means my analogy doesn't stand up. Apparently we did do that, so I'll have to go back and revise that. But I do thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well, and thank you for adding in that information. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And with that, thank you once again. Scar said, stop! Just stop!
So what to say?
I don't know.
What is that for?
Stop what? Oh, what do you mean? Also, by the way, Matthew, address this poll because this is like the closest poll I've ever seen. Like the results are split almost evenly amongst everything.
Oh, I almost forgot about this poll. But which one would you rather have? It looks like the Scar 17S and the Honey Badger are even with each other. There's 16% said they want the Barrett MRAD, and 24% said they want an M1 Grand. So obviously, I'm a little biased because I do own a Honey Badger. It's my prized possession. But a Scar 17S, I would want one of those too, but I'm no way in hell am I paying $4,000 for a Scar. That is absolutely insanity. But a really cool gun. Not a fan of older guns, but the M1 Garand is one of the cooler older guns, and a Barrett MRAD is cool, but I'd rather have the Honey Badger. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to put my vote behind the M1 Garand, or as I call it, the Garand, because that's how the guy's last name is actually pronounced. Get it right, everyone. It's not Garand, it's Garand. All right? Give me a stickler on that. From here forward, if you put down Garand in the live chat, you got to make sure that I know it's pronounced Garand, not Garand. But anyways, this is a good gun. Thing's solid. It's nothing wrong with it. I like it. I've had some before. I liked every one of them. Now, you see, what's interesting about this Garand, Matthew, is that back in the day when John Claudius Garand was making this thing, he made one with a detachable box magazine, which was kind of Gucci for when this gun was being made in the 30s. The US was scared, and this is literally the whole reason why it wouldn't be introduced with a box magazine. They were scared that the Marines, specifically, no one else but the Marines, were going to lose them. So they said, no box magazine, make it an internal magazine. So that's where you get that little in-block clip that you see right there, where you have to shove that thing in with the bullets inside of it. And that's the whole reason. So when the US later on went back and they made the M14, they were largely working off of the concept of the M1 Garand, but with the box magazine.
Interesting.
Yeah, cool story. I mean, like, I tell that to everyone. As soon as I meet them, like, they shake my hand and I go right into the story. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I hope that addresses that.
Now, before you move on, I gotta say, it's not what you think. You used to be able to get a Honey Badger pistol. You could just go down to the gun store and buy it if you could find one, and it took me forever to find it. Now you can't. So if you want a Honey Badger of any sort now, you have to wait to get approved to buy an SBR, which can take up to a year. So I happened to get lucky and get it before that happened. And also, for all the folks out there that own pistol braces, I actually went ahead and applied to get the, I don't know what it's called, that Form 1 or something that the ATF wants you to do to get the thing registered. So, so sad. But anyways, Enforcer, what do you think?
It is an interesting point. It is a fairly interesting point. It's sad to know that the Honey Badger is now going the way of the dodo bird, and you'll just have to, get a tax stamp to get one. It's kind of sad. People are going to have to cry about it. But I just found it, man. Here's the M14. There was the prototype M1 that was made with a detachable box magazine. Also, I don't know what the hell he was thinking when he made that stock.
That's jank.
Yeah, that's jank looking right there. But this is the one that the M14 would largely be inspired by. Like, you can see almost the exact comparisons in between this prototype, the T-47, and the M14 later on. It's almost identical.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, indeed. The more you know. But with that, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have an $8.08 super chat from Boy Kachina, who says, thank you, Swiss, for sanctions on Russia that so surprised China. It prevented their invasion on Taiwan, letting the U.S. focus on Putin entirely. Praying hands, beer clinking, 100-100.
Thank you for the support. I don't know if that's sarcastic against Switzerland or serious, but it was very odd to see the Swiss do anything diplomatically to another country like the sanctions that they did financially on the Russians. We've rarely ever seen that, and that's about the closest the Swiss have ever gotten to breaking their neutrality completely. But then again, the reason why they did that was probably in an attempt to preserve their neutrality with the West, considering they're surrounded by NATO. They probably did that to make sure that NATO wouldn't start eyeballing them oddly and then start messing with them, because they kind of lean a little bit in the direction of whoever surrounds them. So back in World War II, they leaned a little bit in the direction of giving a blind eye to the Axis powers, and nowadays they support NATO a little bit, as much as they can, without breaking their neutrality officially by their own rules. So with that, I thank you for the support. I hope that does address that comment fairly well, and we are on to the next one. Thank you once again.
And the next one goes to Chris Corvino, who puts in a 7 and says, have you heard of History Legends channel?
I think I have. Let me pull them up, because I'm sure I have seen or watched them before. For some reason, the name isn't ringing a bell. So let me find History Legends. Let's see. History Legends. See here. Interestingly enough, it seems, and I actually, no, I haven't actually watched this channel before. For some reason, I feel like someone has brought up this channel before to me, and I heard their name then. But it looks like this guy... Hang on. It looks like this guy is pro-Russian because all of his titles are leaning more so in like a pro-Russian direction, like 1 million Russians in Ukraine by December. That was 3 months ago. Shocking. Let's see. Russia elaborates missile campaign to knock out Ukraine. That was 2 months ago. And then talking about U.S. Army recruitment ads, which are one of the things that Russians always like to point out, like that actually makes a good fighting force as an ad. Wagner units are storming Soledar. Oh, it's a breakthrough! So, yeah, it seems like this guy is pro-Russian from what I can tell from his titles. I haven't watched his videos to really know for sure, but I haven't heard about him until now. So with that, I hope that does address the comment fairly well, and I thank you once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Margaret Hemsley, who says, Rabbit Hole, the lyrebird is a great mimic. There's a vid of him making fun of David Attenborough. I think you'll get a laugh.
And who's a good mimic?
The lyrebird.
The lyrebird.
The lyrebird is a great imitator of other people.
But I do thank you for the support.
Would the lyrebird, would Putin qualify as the lyrebird?
I wonder. And so with that, I thank you so much for the support. I will try and look into that after stream if I can. And with that, we're on to the next one. But thank you for helping this channel. Keep on running.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Margaret Hemsley, who says, not sure if you use pens, but this will probably buy a few. So, pen fun. Haha. Live chat question, please.
You win a pin fun live chat. But still, thank you for the support. We will make sure to go to the pin fun and also a live chat. And thank you once again. And what's the live chat, Matthew?
And the live chat question this time goes to a very special viewer. And that viewer is, let's see here, Grathawk, who says, regarding whether Prigozhin will be alive in 3 years, what is the average lifespan in Russia?
The average lifespan in Russia, average lifespan in Russia, 71.3 years, split. What's the average lifespan in the United States? 77.2 years. We beat them out by 6 years, split. 6 years. What's the average lifespan in Japan? But damn, 84?
Wow.
Golly. Man, people are going to be dropping dead over here before a Japanese person even feels like they're getting old. Goodness. Anyways, let's go to how old is Prigozhin? How old is Prigozhin? He is 61 years old. Count your days, damn it. He has 10 years left. 10 years. I hope that answers the question.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Go back for a minute. It says businessman, restaurateur, mercenary, entrepreneur, Putin chef. The hell?
Where the hell
He's
are
been
you
to prison.
this?
This guy's done a little bit of everything, hasn't he?
He is.
What kind of restaurants this guy running looking like that?
Let's see here. He was put in prison in Soviet Union for theft and robbery. A really sketchy bastard to be cooking up your food. I bet you he's stealing your money as you eat his food, which is laced with poison.
You know that
Putin's
episode of you know that Amy's Bakery that was on Hell's Kitchen? That's what I imagine the restaurant looking like that this guy ran.
Well, let me tell you something. With a face like this, I think anyone would assume you're a damn burglar or someone suspicious. This guy looks sketchy as hell.
If I saw this guy looking out of the kitchen window like that at the back of the restaurant, I would be out.
Dude, I would be sitting there going, did you put a roach in my food? Did you spit in this? What the hell did you do to it, Blade? You're looking sketchy as shit. What is this face that he's making? What the hell?
It'll do.
He's looking at that food like he looked at that pine cone earlier, probably because they have no food left in Russia but the pine cones. But also, look at this one. Red arrows. Just in case you can't see the only other guy in the picture, here's a bunch of red arrows, Blade. We can now see Nutsack out here near the graveyard where all the Russian soldiers have been buried. And we can also see him here giving that stare that looks like he's about to try and pull some breeze on your girl, but then fail miserably because his head looks like shrunken testicles. So with that, we're moving on to next one, Blade. He's also wanted by FBI, just to add everything to cake. But with
Conspiracy to defraud the United States.
Well,
wait a minute.
Holy
Click on that article.
This is from Reuters. So let's see here. You have to read. You have to buy to read, Blade.
I guess it's like go back up.
I've got to tell you, to be honest with you, Blade, this man right here, you could cook egg on top of his head and it would provide a smooth surface. It's a non-stick head. You could cook on that thing and just slide it right off the top, Blade. It wouldn't damage anything, Blade. But with it, we are on to next one. And thank you so much for support. I hope that you'll help us to keep channel running. And thank you so much. And so with that, we are on to next one.
All right, and up next we have a $5 super chat from Jillian as well as Frenetic Vought. Thank you very much to Jillian and Frenetic very much for that support once again, and we appreciate it very much. And up next we have a $5 super chat from Landlubber, who says, cheers to President Zelensky's Eurojet tour.
And cheers to President Zelensky's tour. It looks like it was fairly successful, and hopefully he was able to secure even more and further support for Ukraine. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you once again.
All right. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from PVT Earl, who says, Russia ran out of missiles and troops last year, and they don't even have money. So how did they attack? I think it's China attacking Ukraine.
No. It is not China attacking Ukraine. You can tell very visibly difference in between Russian and Chinese. Very, very, very distinct differences. And also they were totally different uniforms and everything. So I would highly doubt that it is a difference in between the Rossiyskis in the Chinese. I don't know what they're called in their native language. I don't know. But moving on from that. I would doubt that it is the Chinese. They have not run out of missiles. They still have some, just not that many. They're running out. And they still have some soldiers to pull on, although it's not going to be that great. You know what I mean, Blade? So with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does answers the question fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
And the next one goes to Chip Kerwan. He puts in a 5 and says, are you going to show today's videos? Excuse me, got a cough. Are you going to show today's videos of Ukrainian forces massed in 2 different locations with 30 to 40 armored vehicles masted each?
And I thank you so much for the support. While Matthew chokes up along, we have been to Chernobyl lately. We God bless his soul. But to answer, go ahead.
I said, excuse me.
But to answer your question, I would say that I have shown those videos, at least one of them. And I hope that you enjoyed it fairly well, Blade. and it showed what was going on in the Bakhmut area, Bliet. And so with that, Blim, thank you so much once again for the support, Babushka. And with that, we are on to the next one, Habibi. I don't know why I threw in Habibi, but with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you once again for the support. And I hope I answered that question fairly well.
All right, and the next one goes to Arctic Lord, who puts in a 5 and says, America has supposedly sent hundreds of Humvees to Ukraine, but why, when I watch your videos, they're always in old cars and old trucks?
Well, it is because the couple of hundred Humvees only goes so long of a way when you have a military that's probably around 500 to 600,000 active soldiers. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the vehicles they actually need for that kind of force. So that's why you see mostly trucks and other kinds of vehicles, because it just takes a massive, unbelievable number. It takes thousands of vehicles, tens of thousands of vehicles, maybe even over 100-something thousand vehicles in any given moment to keep the Ukrainian military running. So with that, I hope that answers that question fairly well, and I thank you so much once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you once again.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Martin Nielsen.
Oh, Bliet, this must be questionable.
Let me send this to you, and of course, I'm not sure how to take it. I'm not sure if he's in support of what he's written or what.
Okay, I'll make sure to read it. Let's see here. He said, Bliet, yippee-ki-yay, Mother Russia, Donna.
What does that mean?
I think that's a play off of that guy in that movie who was behind that jet on the runway, and he said "Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer," and then he like caught the runway on fire and it blew up the jet in the middle of the sky somehow. I think that's a play on that, but still, thank you so much once again for the support in yippee-ki-yay.
You scare me, Martin. You scare me.
You scare him, Bliet. You make him pay gratefully. But with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you once again for the support.
All right, and the next one goes to Applesauce Man, who puts in a 5 and says, there's a chance it could be a refurbished drill rifle.
There is a good chance, getting out of the voice, there is a good chance it could be a refurbished drill rifle, but even then, it's like, where did it come from? You know, like, it's like, was this with the old guard? Like, this is the, well, not the old guard, I'm sorry, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier Guard. That's like the only one I could think of, and it would have had to been around like way early on in their history and then put in an armory forever, like John F. Kennedy would say. But what's crazy about it is I got it from the CMP, and the CMP doesn't really modify their rifles a lot, and militaries aren't really known for refurbishing rifles that are in their inventory. They just let them fall apart until they throw them away. So yeah, that's what's the weird part about it. So with that, I hope we answered the question fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you once again for the support.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Jesus, USCB once again, who says, it's the Grafenwehr training area. Haha, tanker heaven.
And thank you for the support and sharing with us that is the Grafenwehr tank in heaven. Where the hell is it? Where is it? I lost it. Nope. Wait a minute. Nope. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it. Where the hell was it, man? What was the town again? Do you remember it?
For what?
For the tanker course. It was like, maybe I can find it here. Yeah, Vilsec. Oh, so close. We literally passed over it.
Vilsec.
Vilsec, yeah. Let's see here. So this is it. Do they have Google Street View in here? Nope. That's just pitiful. I don't understand why they wouldn't have Street View on a military base. That just makes no sense. But let's see the pictures. Not a bad place, actually. It's kind of well kept up. You see they had a little festival. We can see people learning that they probably don't want to renew their contracts. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing around. Oh, look. A nice big map. Oh, that looks fun, actually. I would like to do that. Pots for $18 and $16.
Hey guys, Hickok here, and today we're gonna smoke some pot.
That blows the pot away. Oh, we got one. Let's go get the other one out there. Spicy pepper, white balsamic vinegar, $23 for 250 milliliters. That better be made of gold or something for that little, for 23 bucks. You'd find me dead before I spent that kind of money.
Wow.
Let's see here. This is a nice building. This is a nice base. This guy, he looks like he's having a fun time with it. Let's see here. Another bay. That looks like the same bay they've been using in every other picture. We can see them hanging out again in the little meeting. And yeah, I mean, like, they're pretty interesting. What about the Rose Barracks Library? They got some pictures. Dude, why in the world the military base is so nice, man? Like, well, that's not true for Fort Hood. But this one is really nice. Well, you never heard of Fort Hood?
You'll see Fort Hood.
Oh, the horror stories that you can hear from this place and not even be in the military has given it a reputation. This thing is in the middle of Texas. Actually, it's not that far from Waco, so that must be why it's a questionable place. Let's see the pictures.
Is that why they call it the Hood?
I don't know. That's a good question, though. That may be a good place to start. Where are the barracks? Because everyone always talks about the barracks, like the walls filled with mold and it's about to cave in and everything. Actually, this looks quite nice right here. But that's the Army Medical Center, where you get denied that your back injuries are not service-related. So let's keep on moving. Starbucks.
You have a Starbucks in the base?
All right, now I'm not really understanding Fort Hood people now, because everyone's always complaining about Fort Hood, and it kind of looks cush from what we're seeing here. America's Hammer. The Abrams. That's an M1A1, it looks like, too. What the hell is this? That's supposed to have meat in it? What is that? That's just gross looking.
Ugh. Jack in the Box.
That is terrible.
Wait a minute, is that Jack's?
No, that's...
Why was it called Jack in the Box?
There's another company called Jack in the Box, I think, and Jack's is different from that.
Why does it have like the same sort of logo and everything on it?
I don't really know. That's a good question. It may actually be Jack's. Let's see. Copeland Soldier Center. Dang, I can't find it, but it looks like some people because nobody gets to go in there. I don't know.
Welcome to the Hood.
Everyone's always talking about the sketchy stuff that happens in here. They're like people just mysteriously dying or getting strangled. Like it's like the movie what was it, Few Good Men or something with Tom Cruise in it. You can't handle the truth, but instead of being Guantanamo Bay, it's in the middle of Texas. But anyways,
looks like Area 51 out here.
You know, it kind of looks bizarre with all these buildings just lined up in a block like this, and everything else is all scattered, but you just have this one row of buildings and paths like that. That just looks weird, but also look at the giant fields they have outside of it. You go for a drive out here or something, jeez. But anyways, with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And it looks like Steelworks Films said Jack's is the rebranding of Jack in the Box. I never knew. We have Jack's down here in the South. I've heard some folks mention Jack in the Box, but I didn't know if it was a restaurant. I thought they meant something else. But anyways, up next we have a $5 super chat from Philip Fixes, who says Sundays would be a great day to use the cameras. I really would love all the time, though. We need to see you out at these voices. I know you do. LSA.
And thank you for the support. And it sounds like we've been getting a little bit of support for the idea of making a camera thing go on with the show, like adding in camera work and stuff. We'll see. We'll see after this fundraiser happens. If people enjoy that a whole load, we may start trying to see about making it permanent and shooing it in. But you know, it's I don't know, because we got considerations in the background we're trying to think about, and it could start to mess with the formula of this channel, because about everyone out there on YouTube shows their face on these streams, and sometimes that's for good and sometimes that's for worse. So with that, I thank you for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Cindy Mitchell, who puts in a $3 donation and says, "Not my orange hoodie, LOL."
Not my orange hoodie. But thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we're on to the next one.
Shake the Hand said, "How could you not know about Jack in the Box?" Shake the Hand, we from the South. We don't have that down here.
You ever heard of Cookout?
You ever heard of Bojangles?
You ever heard of Popeyes?
That's everywhere, I think.
Is it?
I think. I don't know.
No! Dang it! No, we don't want to find it near. We want to.
Have you ever heard of Full Moon Barbecue?
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. Popeyes is everywhere. Oh yeah, have you ever heard of Full Moon? Have you? Huh? Have you ever heard about the Gold Star, which is the oldest freaking restaurant in the state of Alabama?
Have you ever heard of Raising Cane?
Yeah, have you ever heard of I don't know of any of the other ones. I'm running out of them. But anyways, we're on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $3 super chat from Buckbeak's Garden, who says, SpaceX is reportedly cutting off internet connectivity to drones. Is there a workaround to this? And also, will the Western tanks have issues also?
I feel like there would most likely be a workaround to it, although I think that's really sketch to do that to someone. Also, Philip Fix has said, Enforcer talks to hell of himself. Everyone already knows we live in Birmingham, so it's not really giving away anything that people already don't know. But moving on from that and answering this question, I would say there probably is a workaround to it, but I still think it's really sketch that SpaceX did that. So with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well, and I thank you so much for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one. I do not think tanks will be affected in the least.
And also, I saw Jonathan say in the live chat, are there any gators in your state? Barry Mundy said, litigators.
Oh man, we're on to the next. That was too good. I can't even count. I can't even say anything to add that. That's just peak.
That's top right there. Top dad joke. But anyways, up next we have a $3 super chat from Rocco World Domination, who says, can you yell, people ask the questions in a German accent? Oh my gosh.
What is that really supposed to say? Because you butchered that so badly. I don't even know what the words were. All I heard was,
Wie will ask the questions? That's so bad.
We will ask the questions. I don't know if that's good or not, yeah. But
no, it's both cringy. It's very cringy.
Well, it is very cringe, but of course we have to do this for the viewers. They appreciate it greatly. But with that, we are on to the next one, yeah. And thank you so much once again for the support.
And up next, we have a $2 super chat from Dupper Bob and a $2 super chat from Edward Elkins. And thank you, Edward and Dupper, for that support, and we appreciate it very much. And we have a $2 super chat from Philip Fixes, who says, Enforcer, have been 20 since at least day 17. B-Day soon.
And thank you for the support. And you're a little too observant, aren't you? Yeah, it's soon. It's soon. But I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you when. But yeah, it's soon. We'll have an official one though. In the summer. Kind of like how the royal family does theirs in the summer. Like they get born whenever, but they have one in the summer. We'll do something like that. I honestly though, Matthew, I'm thinking about why in the world are we hiding that from viewers? Because it isn't that
Hiding what?
My birthday, because it isn't that big of an OPSEC issue. If they,
it actually is.
How so? How in the world could it come back to bite?
Because whenever certain companies and places want you to verify your identity, they ask for your birth date, last for your social, and things like that. So the birth date's a piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, but they'll never find the social because the social.
Well, I mean, a little bit of digging, and they might.
And anyways, I'm sure they'll call. Because
who will call?
You know, if they're trying to get into any kind of financial information, they'll probably call and ask if I'm trying to make those changes. And there's no way they can change the phone number. You know.
Oh no, banks don't call anymore. They just give your money away.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They actually do.
But we'll see about letting y'all know. We'll weigh the risks and the gains and see if we'll let y'all know. But it is sometime in this month or next month. So with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and that was our last super chat for now. So, of course, let's address the Morse code, which was solved tonight by Mark Hodges and JP's RCs. Tonight's Morse reads, Putin can sniff pine cones better than Russians can sniff out Ukrainian trap. Slava Ukraine, Slava LSA.
I just butchered that. Sorry. Whoops. Y'all did get that right. I went. Then I went whoop. But y'all did get that correct. They can sniff out those pine cones pretty freaking good. In fact, almost makes you think they might be rat-like. They might be living in the rat house. But with that, thank you all for deciphering the Morse code message, and we're on to the next one. Also, we're going to be answering live chats for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, so our next question goes to Paula McDonald, who says, have you and the enforcer discussed how Russia is draining the reservoir that is used to cool the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant?
No, we have not, because we haven't been able to get any video proof of that or any news on it, so we haven't been able to cover that for that reason. So with that, I hope we answered that fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
And see in the chat, everybody's saying, very dangerous to share your B-Day. Your SSN is already out there.
Wait a minute. Oh, well, I would doubt it.
All of our SSNs are already out there if you look hard enough. You just have to know how to look.
Interesting. Well, that's sad, because I thought it would be kind of cool to celebrate my birthday, because, it's, it would be cool to celebrate it on stream, but I guess that won't happen. I guess we'll have to make an official birthday for the channel, but with that, we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Lawrence Wells, who says, a very good evening. If the orcs are firing missiles close to Romania, NATO should set up anti-missile unit to shoot them down. Thoughts?
I think they should, because if they're getting close enough to Romanian airspace that they're a bit of an issue, I think that they should certainly set something up to shoot them down, and then say we were afraid they were entering our airspace, so for that reason we shot them down. And they could probably get away with that. So with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a question from Boot, who says, will NATO speak out about Russia sending cruise missiles through Romanian airspace today?
They did say something about it. They didn't do anything about it, and it did fly over Moldova. So I hope that that does address that fairly well, and we're on to the next one. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, and I'm just waiting here in a second for somebody to pop up in the chat and put a social security number or something in there. I'm just waiting for it in a second. But anyways, our next question, excuse me, goodness, goes to Doomsday Games, who says, how much longer do you think this chaos will go on? Will it be another month or another year?
Probably another year if I had to take a guess right now. So with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And we are on to the next one. Also, if y'all are wondering, like, what is the official birthday? I will have my normal real birthday with my family, and no one will know about it, here on the stream. And then I'll come up with an official birthday, or at some point in the summer, where everyone on the channel can celebrate my birthday, and we'll just treat that like my birthday. So that's how it'll work, because I saw someone like, oh, what does that mean? Like an official birthday? But with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Mad Machine, who says, do the Ukraine civilians still have the weapons that were handed out, or will the Ukraine government do another weapons handout?
From what we know, the weapons handout actually turned into the first TDFs, and now those TDFs have become pretty much full-fledged fighting forces that you can't even distinguish from the normal army that was there before. So that's what happened to them. We don't really know if there are AKs just still in citizens' hands that aren't a part of an actual armed force. So I hope that answers that question fairly well. And also, to answer one that I saw, Sean said, late getting on, but happy you had a fast recovery. I would like to clarify that real quick, because I know you're talking about like the whole bloodmouth thing. That was something that happened last night and almost began and ended within 30 minutes. And I tried to make that clearer as the stream ended. It wasn't something where I like had it the whole time, got off, and like I may have been like in mortal danger. It started and ended fairly quickly in the stream. So it is good though that it didn't turn into anything serious. I was really happy about that, to be honest with you. But with that, we are on to the final question of the night. And so, who is the lucky last one who threw in the lucky last question of the night?
And that viewer is going to be Cad, who says, Matt, do you think Prigozhin is saying it's going to take so much time to take territory because he's upset about Wagner no longer getting more conscripts?
I think he was saying that from a realistic standpoint and trying to change the public narrative of how long this war is really going to go on, from a 3-day to a week special military operation to now a 4-year special military operation that isn't even still gaining its original goals. So I think that was his main point. And also we have one more super chat from Psyops left, and then we'll be rounding out tonight. And so let's get to that super chat.
And Psyops puts in a 5 and says, I have a good question. Why don't you have your brother's channel linked in the channels tab on YouTube, Andrew? Don't you love your brother? Muhahaha. And it's a very good question, Psyops. A very good question. You're asking the very important questions.
Very good question, Psyops. I actually don't link anyone to any YouTube page, like even people who have been on the stream before, like Starsky. I don't know why. I've just never done that. But that would be a pretty cool idea. Maybe I will do that. Sometime in the near future is actually set up the little YouTube recommended channel tab and recommend channels. That would be a pretty cool idea. And so with that, thank you once again for the support, Psyops. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And with that, it is the end of tonight's stream. I thank you so much once again for watching. If y'all did enjoy, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the like button, and make sure to tell your friends about it, because the stream runs every single day of the week at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, except for Mondays, so you can always count on us to be here covering the war in Ukraine every single day. And so with that...
Wait! I see that Julie North said you have not done my super chat. So, let's check the spreadsheet and see if there's been a discrepancy. We'll see here. So, we actually have Julie. We did it earlier. It was that $10 super chat from saying good morning from Norway.
And I think we did cover it because I said Norway was a pretty cool place, I believe. Yeah.
And thank you again for the support.
And thank you, Julie, for the support. It may have just been that you were away from the keyboard when we got to it. But still, with that, now that we've cleared that up, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, make sure to comment, and I will see you all tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Time to cover the next 24 hours of the war in Ukraine and get us ready for the Sunday night fundraiser that'll be coming the day after that. Thank you all once again. Good night, take care, good luck, and Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraine. Jaga jaga.
Yes. The Lviv Spring Army sends its regards.
Усміхнеться доля, згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануємо ми, браття, у своїй сторонці, душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду, душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького